The continent of Alcana was home to the prime goddess's first children, whom we today call tieflings. The few pieces of writing that we found from Alcana would have you believe that these first generations of tieflings were all one step away from sparking into godhood. With skin of all colors of the rainbow, horns that defy physics and logic, and tails to balance the well of greatness within them. Unfortunately, if these people kept studious records of their livelihoods and traditions, it was all cremated from one unspeakable tragedy. The night the sky burned is a cataclysmic event that we know entirely too little about. One day, the sky turned blood red as raging fire and brimstone destroyed the continent of Alcana, rendering it devastated and dormant. The few Alcana natives who escaped could explain nothing of the cause of this catastrophe. And the stories they passed to their children couldn't be any more contradictory. Some tell of grand divine gestures and battling for control of Cyrene. Others mention first seeing superstitious prophecies and their dead crops. The greatest tragedy of all is that we might not ever know the full truth of it. Only the goddess knows, and she weeps for them. Was it a tragic accident, a purposeful genocide, or something wholly unprecedented? Henri Mira, 616 ATF. Welcome, travelers. You have heard stories of the legendary Whispers in Silence, who changed the landscape of Sparks and Serene forever. You also may have heard of the Queen's Lament, those responsible for what would become the ultimate, and first, downfall of Scala's reign. Some of you now are even listening to the story of the mortal reminders of a civil war beyond just petty politics. But I'm not interested in such well-recorded tales. So let's go back farther. Alcana, the home of the goddess's first children. It is 1,000 years before Scala's reign and about 2,000 years before the Whispers in Silence. It is a land of powerful magic and bountiful life, where sparked deities hold unimaginable might and mortals keep finding new ways to improve their livelihoods. Yet there is also order. The Pantheon boasts a strict hierarchy of deities that govern the land, and they are dutifully served by mortals as their clergy. In this way, there is idyllic peace. You could call it paradise. But at what point does paradise have nowhere else to grow into? At what point does its development stop, become arrested? But let us leave questions to philosophers. Today, we are telling a story of the days leading up to the night the sky burned. And we tell it through the people who were powerful enough to be involved, but powerless to stop it all. And our story starts today with a celebration. More specifically, a parade. We narrow our views to Calvarine, a small village at the heel of the Hook, under the control of its neighboring metropolis, Terre d'Evra. Normally, such a village would be of no importance to our protagonists, but we all have our humble beginnings. Along the only cobblestone pathway in Calvarine, a line of various carts and carriages slowly roll through the town. Villagers of Calvarine and dedicated fans of such events crowd around the path, cheering and clapping for the parade as music bombastically plays in celebration. Up in a small tower, a green tiefling with small twisted horns speaks. His voice booms effortlessly over the crowd, and it's clear he's using thaumaturgy to amplify his voice. Hello, Calvarine! Raise your voices. Let's let all of Alcana hear us today. Ha! I am your loving host, Rishko of Devra, hopefully of someone else soon. But let's not further delay and give a warm welcome to the apostles of the First Ring. I know what you're thinking, folks. How could this little town be so lucky as to have the very special elite representatives of our greatest and finest deities and fearless leaders of the Pantheon over Alcana? Well, folks, it wasn't easy. My first piece of advice, find a friend who's cool enough to spark into a deity themselves. I tease. Let me be your guide as I introduce you through our wonderful apostles who have come all the way to Calvarine for our first and very special spark ceremony. First up to grace our fine parade, you've seen her on posters, her voluptuous beauty certainly taking the world by storm. You love her, you'd love to be her, and you'd love to be with her. Saphira of Lycilia. Saphira, could you describe yourself to the rest of us?
Yes, Saphira is a Alkanan woman in her 30s, and she has long, beautiful hair that curls off at the bottom, horns that rise almost straight up. Her garb is befitting of the apostle of the goddess of pleasure, and she is wow. Thanks. As she kind of stands prim and proper, blowing a kiss to the crowd.
Saphira, you're very used to this sort of thing. You were made for crowd adoration and making yourself ooze every kind of appeal there is. You already see the eyes of the crowd of who has fallen in love with you, who wishes they could be you, and who would kill you out of jealousy. Such is the work when you serve Lycilia, the goddess of pleasure. That being said, could they have at least tried to smooth out these roads? You're here today to make a statement. Be where the most eyes can be on you. Much like our modern-day Oreos, everyone has heard of Lycilia, and she needs no further help advertising herself. But whether you do it for your goddess or yourself, you better show it off. Next up is Arya of Athala. Whew, would you look at that artistry. They truly are the definition of form over function, eh? Is it enough to detract onlookers from Saphira? You didn't hear the gossip from me, folks. The cart is crafted of a combination of wood and fabrics. The back part is various shades of white, ivory, pearl, meaning they were able to make fabric opalescent. This part is cut like fluttering wings, and they all wind around the base of the carriage and into a pole at the front. The pole has a shaped head and a painted beak. Altogether, a beautiful swan. What's more impressive is that none of the white fabric is stained by the road, to be expected by Athala, goddess of the arts. Now, let us give a warm welcome to Lithian of Helene. Warm, I say, as we would very much like Helene to give us clear skies for today's celebration. Lithian, could you describe your character?
Lithian has black hair. He has the sort of like Doctor Strange, Reed Richard white going on the sides. Dark purple skin, lighter tones across his face, and just completely white eyes. He has sort of this proper, sort of like almost like formal like business attire. Like he's wearing a suit and he's came to like a function more than a celebration. And he kind of comes out and gives like a curt wave, like a small smile, but otherwise moves on pretty quickly, not wanting to take up too much of the spotlight.
Lithian, there is quite a loud reception at your arrival, but it's not truly for you. Your goddess Helene is as powerful as she is popular. After all, when your domain is the seasons, most people know how to behave. You are aware of your deceptively simple assignment today. Make sure the spark ceremony goes off without a hitch, and make sure everyone else is doing their correct jobs. Now let's give it up for Irvine of Esterin. Don't be fooled by his preference for books over athletics. I've heard this apostle can outrun anybody with late library fees. There's very moderate chuckles over this man who comes from Calvarine for a reason. This carriage is simple yet efficient, wooden plaques placed together strategically for optimal balance and strength. Irvine stands tall and waves at the crowd politely. He serves Esterin, the god of education. Next up is that a carriage or a small fortress? Anyone who's thinking of crashing these carriages, might I not suggest that one. For legal purposes, that is a joke. Such strong walls must be holding the apostle, Rohirri of Kethek. Rohirri, would you like to describe your character for us?
Rohirri is a fairly tall, I suppose, Alkanan, not tiefling.
Mm-hmm.
She's muscular, has a giant maul on her back, black and purple hair with the same for her horns, probably wearing a tank top and effectively cargo pants because she probably walked right out of a forge to get on this thing.
Rohirri, the clergy you serve, who just happens to also be your family, had given you this very defensible carriage to mostly show off their latest designs and walls and fortresses. It's only right to show off the defensible might of Kethek, god of bastions. You, however, have already identified 3 areas of low structural integrity that could make this whole thing fall apart in seconds. But your archbishop, might also be your uncle, said that if you destroyed another one of these things, you'd be walking the next parade. Your guy gave you a most straightforward task. Compete and win. You're not sure which contest he was referring to, but you can intuit it's all of them. Next up is Therord of Baratos. Ha! Looks like they've been working on a new method of transportation. You know what they say, folks. No need to reinvent the wheel. Baratos, if you're listening, big fan of your work, especially a fan of the heated water system. This cart is different because it doesn't seem to need horses to pull it. Its wheels and rides all on its own. But more perceptive people will notice the followers underneath striving to turn the wheels themselves. Still, such work is to be expected for those who serve Baratos, the god of ingenuity. Next up, one of our oldest apostles at this time, the ever-wise Nereus of Miro. Maybe you should get some priests to flatten the roads around here, huh? I'm just kidding. Don't make fun of where your coin comes from, kids. Nereus, could you describe your character?
Yes, Nereus is, as they said, one of the older apostles. It's 65 years. He has midnight blue skin with black hair. His beard is kept cropped close to his face in a point. He is wearing the two symbols of his office, the Petasos hat, the traveling cap over his horns, which are decorated with small chains that hold a number of trinkets from his travels, such as foreign coins, seashells, and other baubles. He is dressed in his light blue chiton that is clasped over his shoulder, and his chlamys robe, which is set with a bronze scallop. And the other symbol of his office is the staff of Miro, which is a long bronze, or a long strawberry wood staff with a bronze hippocampus set on the top. Likely, even sitting, he is slightly stooped from years of travel across the world.
Nereus, this celebration truly brings some mixed emotions. On the one hand, any celebration for a birth of a new deity is full of excitement, potential, and hope. Yet on the other hand, you've been to many of these in your decades as an apostle, and every time the focus has gone less from the spirituality of Alcana and more about its spectacle. Another string to the web, yet never closer to your goal for its center. But such is the burden you bear to serve Miro, god of the roads. Your guide gives more riddles than instructions, but you know that making connections here with this new fledgling god may help you towards your goal. Last but absolutely not least, Irida of Devra. Everyone, please give your thanks and praise to the apostle of the goddess of strategy and first ring patron of our new fledgling deity. A beautiful chariot is pulled out and the crowd goes wild. Irida has a serene smile as she wears gilded battle armor, although clearly it's more for show and sport than true fighting. But all of you are more than aware of her prowess in all things athletic and strategic. Who else to better serve Devra, the goddess of strategy? What an incredible display. Thank you again for your services to Alcana and to the Pantheon. Now, in 1 hour, the spark ceremony will begin. Here we go. All of your coaches go through the parade. There's lots of big cheering as everybody's happy to see you, some of you more than others, and you're eventually led to a small tented area with high-class refreshments offered for apostles only. You could stay here, mingle with some of your peers. Otherwise, you could see what else has been set up for this big festival. Despite being such a small little podunk town, there's lots of options for food and sellers of simple wares. Most importantly, there is to be some special contests, big feats of strength and mind and things like that after the spark ceremony. So if you'd like, you could also go and try to sign up for some of those. Apostles, what will you do with this free hour?
I'm going to walk over to Rohiri and be like, "Oh, Rohirri, so nice to see you again. I'm so glad you could dress up for the event today."
I feel like Rohirri just smirks and, let's be honest, you wish I would dress down.
I do, but in respect to the new deity that is sparking here today, perhaps something a little nicer today, yes?
Look, it was already a big ask for me to not break the fucking carriage.
Why would you break your carriage?
Because they did a shitty job building it.
She kind of like glances over at him. Like, it looks quite sturdy.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Okay. Well, I suppose you would know. Oh, apostle of nepotism.
While that's going on, Nereus is going to walk up with his arms spread wide and clap both of them on the shoulder.
Oh.
Like old friends. Ah, friends! So good to see both of you here. Have you gotten any of the honeyed wine?
Not yet, but I most certainly will. Nereus, how long have you been back on continent?
Oh, it's, I suppose, been at least months now. The time gets away from me so very rapidly. Especially
I would
when you spend
imagine.
time at sea.
At sea, and what is that like?
Salt, grog, lots of dried fish, sometimes wet fish, and a great deal of urination off the side of the boat.
That
There's
sounds
Delightful.
incredibly boring.
Oh, no, far from it. The things you can see on the night sky when there are no lights. It reminds you how big the world is and how small we all are in it.
You recently visited Undwar, didn't you?
I did. Quite an interesting place.
I
Almost-
understand the women there have this thing they do with their tongues.
Well, you have to ask nicely, but I can confirm that there are many lovely ladies across the sea. Strong, too. Very strong.
Fascinating. I shall have to
Alright.
visit.
Lithian approaches following that, adding on after you saying, I'll have to visit. And hopefully soon you will have plenty of time to do so.
Hmm? Oh, are you
Hello, Lithian. I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Lithian! Glad to see you. I think he was talking about your possible and inevitable retirement. But regardless, as long
Not
as
all
we're
of us can be like the great Nereus, living well into our twilight years while still performing.
I have been very, very blessed so far with a strong life and somewhat stronger knees. Although, in time, I may have to set down my staff. And he sort of cracks his back. You can hear an audible snap and pop as he stretches back. Ah! Well, more honeyed wine for me, I think.
For me too. She gonna go get crunked.
Very
Already.
typical baby glass.
I mean,
feel like
already would
Rohirri-
assume she wasn't a little drunk when she got here.
I feel like Rohirri just looks at Lythian and just goes, well, if it isn't the Joy Killer.
Gives you a bit of a look up and down. I think we both recognize that in pursuit of our gods and goddesses' ideals, we can't please everyone.
Look, just let me blow up the damn fortress next time.
Whispers to Nereus. Notably for Rohirri, she doesn't please anyone.
Ugh. Alright.
Perhaps if you put your bombs away, Rohirri, you could maybe actually do some interesting contests. Irida of Devra approaches you. She's pretty tall. She's the person who was the last in the parade, a tall woman in very fanciful armor. And she kind of looks at you with a bit of, while folding her arms. Given the close relationship between our god and goddess, it only would be proper for us to have a good showing for the rest of the people here.
Ah, hear, hear. I like your mindset, Irina. It is ultimately all about the people and the coin they will spend to help this small town.
I did not realize that you are already trying to line your pockets, Nereus.
Oh, well, this Clamis has no pockets. I have no need of them. It's the pockets of the common people that I am most worried about.
Mm-hmm. She just kind of gives a look to all of you. All I am saying is that for this special ceremony, which is being patroned by Devra herself, it would all be good for you all to be on good behavior. Not that I need to be worried for Lithian here.
Oh, I
He
don't
just
think
gives a
there's
smile.
I don't think there's anything to worry about. We all know our responsibilities here, and the good patroness Devra, she has done such a kindness. She's even allowing Arya and Avreen to be here.
Arya has turned at the sound of her name and looks at you. Oh, are we trying to compare here, Miss Saphira? I think you and I both know that when it comes to purposes for each of our patrons, that some purposes make more sense for the common people than others.
Yes, well, all I would say is that art is such a pleasureful thing.
She kind of scowls. Just because my goddess arrived later does not mean that she doesn't have she doesn't have domains that can take up more than just a singular focus on pleasure.
Well, when she starts doing so, you'll be sure to let us know.
Arya is a pretty young apostle, I would say, and is not nearly as clever-tongued as her own goddess can be. And so she looks a little bit more like a petulant child as she just kind of scoffs and tries to take the high ground, but this is not new for you, Saphira. She doesn't really last very long against you.
You do. Nereus will turn to Lithian and go, well, good to know that very little has changed since I've been gone.
Yes, as much as she may serve the goddess of pleasure, she still puts quite a bit of distaste in some people's mouths.
Yeah, well, that's why we have the honeyed wine. He takes another drink.
I simply give as I am given, Lithian.
Tell me again, what age was it that you took over your charge?
On my 18th birthday.
And how old was the previous one in your place when she left?
31.
I'm sure that you will continue to serve your goddess in whatever way is best for her and not yourself.
I serve at my goddess's pleasure always.
It is a pleasure to still have you here. Truly, it's good to have the gang back together, so to speak.
Honestly, it would be boring without you.
It's such a rarity that a new god gets to spark. I understand yet again a god that is going to be stepping on the toes of Mind's domain.
Well, you know, they say that in many ways the inner circle is always widening, big enough for everyone. I'm sure whatever nuance this new deity may have will only emphasize the importance of your own Sphira. He like puts the biggest strained smile you've ever seen.
I feel like of everyone you've probably known Saphira the longest.
Right.
You know how to
Right.
kind of work with her.
I'm just like, all right, I don't want her to bitch slap anybody. Get to a point.
Not again.
First of all, she couldn't.
It would do 0 damage. That's true. She has an 8 in strength.
That's why I'm worried for her. I don't want her to break her wrist.
Yeah, her little chicken bones.
I've seen her when she was very young, and she was like, "I got this," and we were all like,
Yeah,
"You,
Saphira-
eh?"
Saphira has no way to deal damage in her entire kit. So.
Because when Saphira was just starting, I think he was probably in his 40s or 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was.
Wait, no, that was like 30 years ago.
How old are you?
36.
Oh God. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So more like a decade and a half.
Right. I was
At-
in my
yeah.
I was in my youth, as Nereus would say.
Ugh.
I was a spry 55.
Saphir, when you mentioned that this new god, this new deity might be stepping on your Lycilia's toes, Irita kind of gives you a bit of a look. Now, these second and third ring gods are always going to be offshoots of the first ring that we serve. And, we know about the sort of area of expertise that this new deity will be. They will be the ones that will ultimately tell us what their domain is.
But of course, and it is ever our duty as apostles to aid them and bring them into this world.
How about everybody gives me a general history roll? And I'll tell you a little bit what you know about this new fledgling deity to be.
It's just gonna be a
Oh.
straight D20 for me.
That's not a great roll to start the campaign.
We don't have a lot of intelligence in this group, save for Nereus.
Unfortunately, I rolled a 2, so I got an 11.
I
so-
feel like Rohiri just pieces out to go sign up for those contests.
Big ol' 8.
Saphira, you got the highest! All right,
Yeah,
the
you can tell she's super jealous. I mean, what else is she?
Well, I'm
so-
the only one who was around for the history because I'm so old.
So the general thing everybody knows in Saphira, you guys all really didn't roll high enough for a question, so I'm just gonna tell
Yeah,
you what
that's
you
fair.
know. You guys all generally know that there is a young man individual named Krish. He serves Devra, so Krish of Devra. And what you do know is that part of how he was getting to this position were due to his incredible feats, general feats of athleticism. This man has participated in all sorts of competitions all across Alcana, and he hasn't necessarily won them all, but he's always there. He's always been there, even though he comes from this very small, tiny town. So, from what you understand, he has been allowed to spark into something related to athletics contests, something of that sort here today. And it's Devra who was the one who patroned him to do so. And what that's going to mean is, even though he is basically a third ring god, or going to be one, he will still kind of serve under Devra. And while his name is Krish, being you have participated in a few spark ceremonies, that will not be the name that he is going to end up with.
Nereus has a request.
Yeah.
Could we, for the good of the chat, get a brief explanation of the rings of gods?
Yes. So, hold on one second and let me see if I made this as a note. So, hold on, let me do this. Do you guys see something on your roll 20 sites? And
Yes.
I will go over to here. Okay. Yo, chat. So, in this world, we have we have what's called the first ring deities. Those are the deities that I just explained at the beginning. They are the head of the pantheon. They are the 8 that rule it all. However, they are not the only ones that exist. Underneath them, there are all sorts of various second ring deities and third ring deities, and so on and so forth. We will get into how Onrados work when it is relevant. The only thing I will also note here is that all Alcanans know about Sol and Boss, and instead of what some of you may have come to know as flora and fauna, they are known as satyr and nymph here. These gods do exist, and Alcanans certainly know of them and appreciate them, but it's more like they more see them as forces of nature versus people to worship. And I will get into further things about the clergy later and sparking, so just hold your horses on that one. So yeah. I know I heard that Rohiri was interested in possibly signing up for some contests, unless anybody else was interested.
Saphira will accompany her and just, as they walk
mean-
along, just like wave at people.
Yeah, I'll definitely
did-
look at the contest unless they're athletic, because then... Okay.
You
Yeah.
did say Grandpappy Catholic told me to win them all, so
Win them all.
He just said, compete and win. It's pretty much what he told you. So you're like, all right, fine, jeez. So there are lots of different contests. I'm going to give you the ones that I thought of, and you all can tell me if there's something else you are hoping to exist. There is a race, a general race between people. There also is relay racing, meaning like you would be in teams if anybody's interested. There's a javelin throw. You throw it as hard as you can, as far as you can. Being naked is not required. That's a Greek joke in case anybody. Anyway. There is wrestling, where it's just you versus another person. There is a history trivia one. I will note here that even though it is despite it being like about historical things, you know for the sake of the populace, it's probably going to be a little on the simpler side. There is also going to be kind of a general board games one, so like strategy games. Think like things like a chess game and stuff like that. And there's also a dancing contest, because why not?
Because there needed to be something for me to do.
Yes, exactly. So, is there anything anybody is interested in signing up for?
Rohiri will probably do the strategy and then like the physical ones.
So you're gonna do like the general board games?
Yeah, if that's what covers all of it, I suppose.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, give me 1 second here. I'm trying to figure out how to notate this to myself. Sorry. Okay, so then you're gonna be doing the races, the javelin throw, and the wrestling. Do you want to do the history trivia one?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. I'm sure Nero
Hey,
will probably blow me
Grandpappy
out
said
of the water.
all of them, right?
So
Right.
all of them except for the dance-off, or are you doing the dance-off?
Have -1 dex.
You know, in another campaign, Callie had a wizard with minus strength that won an arm wrestling contest against an ogre. So anything's
All right,
possible.
you know what? Fuck it. Why not?
All right.
Yeah, a lot of those sound like sweating, so pass on most of those, but I'll do the dancing one.
All right. So just the dancing
Oh,
for
it just-
you.
Just admit it, Saphira. You like sweat as long as it's on other people.
I like making sweat too, just not with these kinds of activities.
Ah, I get it.
There's this kind of you get like some of the younger ones that are snickering because they're like, hey, she made a dick joke, and other older ones that are like, oh,
Oh, she made a dick joke.
yeah. This is not Lycilia country. This is Devra Helene country. So people over here are a little more uptight.
Ah, yes. The backwater. Great.
Don't say that too loudly.
Ah, water. Love that.
You are near the water. I should have actually hold on. Just so people are aware, let me get back to the combat map. Our lovely heroes are right here. So as you can see, they're kind of down here, and each of the first ring gods essentially has like a metropolis tear something. So Helene is up here, and Devra is down here. So yeah.
So a couple of us had a real short walk, is what you're saying.
Yes. And others, I mean,
And we all probably just teleported.
yeah,
but
you all teleported, so.
yeah.
Okay, Nereus, are you interested in any contests?
Is there like a debate or anything like that? Or are they all physical contests?
There's a history trivia, a general board game. I mean, there could be a debate contest if you're
No,
interested.
he could do general. If there's a general history, participate in that. He's not. There would have been a time with even his weak constitution, he would have participated in like the races and stuff. But that time is well beyond him.
That makes sense. Lithian, are you interested in any of these?
None of the physical things are really particularly up his alley. So I think instead, what his thing's gonna be is he's gonna watch some of the performances, and I think just kind of make some mental notes or take the time to see which of his peers are really sort of performing up to their duties or like who's really holding up proper standards?
You got it. At this time, everything's still kind of being set up, so this will be after the spark ceremony, especially. But once we get there and we get through it, just let me know who you're maybe watching for, what you're watching for, and we'll get into that. Otherwise, is there anything you all would like to do before the spark ceremony starts?
Is Krish here and available to talk to?
He's kind of getting set up, but you're an apostle. You can talk to whoever you want.
I'd like to talk to him.
All right, not a problem. So Krish, you see, give me 1 second, sorry. Okay. You see, so basically the spark ceremony is being set up behind this constructed half dome that was made here out of clay. This is a well-known thing that has to get constructed when spark ceremonies happen outside of the tears. And you see a group of clergy from Devra that is kind of working and fussing over this man. He is a pale red tiefling with shorter horns, just kind of stick straight up. But you can see he is at the prime of his athleticism, of strength and speed and things like that. And they're kind of having some trouble because the toga robe he's supposed to be wearing, it's not quite fitting over parts of his body very well, so they're messing up with that. Saphira of Lycilia. What can we? That's one of the which you recognize as one of the bishops of Devra that's approaching you. What can we do for you?
Good afternoon, Bishop. What an exciting day this is.
Very exciting.
I wished to offer my congratulations and the words of my goddess to the deity to be.
Oh, yes, of course, right this way. So they kind of motion and they kind of whisper something in Krish's ear, and he stands up a little bit straighter. He's kind of got that, like, Clark Kent before he went to the big city kind of demeanor, where, like, he feels a little awkward here, but he's doing his best.
All right, Smallville.
And he kind of makes sure that the toga's on properly and bows his head. Apostle Saphira of Lycilia, it's a pleasure to meet you at this time.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well. You need not be so nervous.
Well, not every day you get to spark, First in my family so far.
I would imagine. Once every few years. It's a very big honor.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it for Devra and for all the people here. They need somebody to stick up for them, and what better than me?
Well, my goddess wished me to pass along the word that once you have attained your divinity, she should very much like to meet you and entertain you privately.
Oh, yeah. Even though his skin's already red, it's somehow brighter. You're not sure how, but it's just a brighter, weird skin tones and colors and things like that. And he nods. Right, I guess in the sort of heaven stuff they talk about that we all get to live in, huh? Oh yeah.
She walks over and starts like adjusting his toga to help him get it fit.
I know this thing's not going to really matter much once spark and everything, but yeah, still want to keep it all things private and all that.
Why is that?
Well, not everybody can. I'm not here to step on any of Lycilia's toes here.
You are divinity, and you are, she taps his chest, pleasure incarnate. You need not hide this from anyone.
Thank you for saying so, but not divine yet, says they want to make sure I'm aware. I'm still kind of a nobody from Calvarine till they start their stuff,
You are who you decide you are.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's weird the instructions they give you for these things, you know? You never know till you're there.
She leans up and kisses his cheek. Well, best of luck to you. I'm sure you'll do wonderfully.
Thanks. Real preach.
Big preach.
Big appreciate.
She nods and turns and walks away, purposefully swaying her hips as she walks.
I would say you notice that he hasn't turned around towards the people he needs to be talking to until you're a little farther away.
Good.
Is there anyone else who, similar to Saphira, might feel a bit of either jealousy or, this idea of like their domain is feeling threatened, or they may have to share certain aspects with this new divinity?
With this current one,
With specifically sort of with this whole spark happening. Obviously, he's keeping an eye on Saphira for the reasons listed. But is there anyone else who may also have something to gain should something go wrong here, or be able to use that in some way to just further their own agenda, or even shed, shade, or put some sort of so my brain's failing for the words right now.
Paul.
Like if something were to go bad here, they could potentially even shift the blame or shift the light towards someone else as being, responsible or having some sort of thing in it.
that's a good question. Why don't you go ahead and give me an insight check while
Really?
Yeah,
An
yeah.
Insight. I'm
Yeah.
pretty good at those.
You are pretty good at those, and I know it's your top skill.
Don't you
Why?
fuck me dice.
Why?
You know
why-
what? Y'all gave me a 2 and a 3 last night when I was DMing. I'm gonna give you
Please
2
do
a
not
try.
fuck my dice. Thank you.
I got to put the Deva in a hamster ball last night.
I
You
think
know-
this is my new Nereus voice. I
you're-
like.
I quit the game.
You're not gonna like my Miro voice, then.
I think Nereus should speak like Borat.
Oh, God.
I rolled 2 1s
Are
on
you kidding me?
advantage with
You rolled 2. That's a
insight.
1
I
in
rolled
200, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
curiosity. What would you 2 have rolled?
That is. I'm so
Cool.
sorry.
I rolled another 1.
What the hell?
It's
Well,
1 in
here's-
8,000.
I don't for skill checks. I don't necessarily say it's a fail. So just
Sure.
tell me your total.
That's
12.
That's
That's a-
fine. That's
a
fine.
egg-shaped die. Egg-shaped for
So
sure.
I'm not gonna like get super hyper detailed over here. I think overall, surprisingly, not really from what you can tell, because Devra is really the only one whose domain is, I would say, close to this, being the goddess of strategy, but she's in control of this. And
She has no reason for this to go poorly.
exactly.
Oh,
I-
who would be Devra's rivals then?
So, give me a history or religion check, your choice.
Both zeros. 15.
Okay, very good. So you know the general history of Devra. You know that once upon a time it was actually Devra, goddess of strategy, Kethek, god of bastions, and Baratos, god of ingenuity, that were very closely tied together because of the moment when they sparked that they were needed for. And so, they've always held a sort of they're kind of like siblings, for lack of a better term. It's not like, so Athala and Asterin are literal sibling twins who sparked. These three are more of like brother in arms, and they've been around for a long time. Not as long as Helene, but for a long time. So it's one of those things that they kind of squabble like siblings sometimes, where while they do take different domains, they can't help but kind of nag a little on each other. Not as much as Baratos, but definitely Kethek and Devra are kind of up in arms with each other a lot. So, you could argue from that like part of this guy is that really in line with Kethek. But I would say if you are trying to figure out if anyone's going to be doing something about it, well, the only person really here from Kethek's entourage is Rohirri, quite frankly.
Okay, so basically, if I'm watching for people that could, or that I think might, even as rare as it might be, that could cause problems, Rohirri or Saphira.
pretty much here. I mean,
Yep.
the only like other clergy people, because one thing I'll explain in a bit is that clergy really usually stick with the tears. Apostles are the people that could go anywhere,
Right.
and the only clergy here are Deborah's people who don't
Mhm.
really have a reason to do much. So yeah, I may be going to Saphira and Rohirri for that
Yep.
reason.
So I think that throughout this, then specifically, he'd be trying to spend his time at least being within eye shot of, I think, Saphira more, since she has shown, specifically earlier, he had even mentioned a little bit of, jealousy towards the idea of having to share part of this domain. And Rohirri, for all of her faults, I think Lithian believes that the faults that she has are that she's too focused on what she does to the detriment of, not dressing up for things. So, which to him isn't as much of a fault in the way that she carries herself for her deity, as opposed to just like, people think you should do this because it's the right thing to do when you're in the public eye, sort of thing. So that's what Lithian will be doing, just keeping an eye out, playing babysitter.
Sounds good. Would anybody else like to do anything before the spark ceremony? And take your time and just kind of making sure everyone's getting a turn.
I will also
I'm
mention
good.
too, I don't think he's not being like overt about it. If Saphira or anyone else even tried to notice, like, it's clear that he's keeping an eye.
At this point in the stage where things are, I would not be having you make rolls for that. Potentially after the spark ceremony, with how things are going to be, that may look different. But right
Yeah,
now, you're good to
I guess
go.
I just want to be known that, like, he wants his presence to be known to the people that he thinks there may be trouble coming from.
Yeah, that's
Saphira
easy
blows you a kiss then.
He smiles.
enough. That's easy enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing Nereus is going to do is he probably would spend time talking to, not that there be anyone significant, so we don't have to do anything with it, but he'd be spending time talking to all the people that are working to put this on, and sharing, maybe occasionally, if they're doing a good job, he'd slide them a copper as a blessing from his god, and other than that, he'll participate in the history thing, and that'll be it.
Yeah. You find a lot of those people are very it's more comfortable for you to be around these kind of people versus honestly your colleagues sometimes.
Right.
Just because they but at the same time there's also just all this reverence they pay to you, even though it should be towards your god. And while they're not purposely misplacing it at all, they're just people. There is you find this kind of weird openness with these people. So some are kind of giving you a lot of reverence, and others are probably a little too open about the hardships of their family,
Sure.
going through some hard times, which you've had to do this all before.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the main thing he would focus on, just making sure that Miro's blessing is being passed on to these people, and that they know that for a very small fee, he can pray over the money for them and make it multiple. No, he doesn't.
It sounds like they need a pizza party afterwards.
Yeah, I think he's trying to create the first Miro megachurch, and all you got to do
He's gonna
is
be mega reverend.
yeah, you have to he's creating the prosperity gospel.
Oh god.
No.
And this is why the sky burns.
Yeah, his new name is Nereus Olstein. All right. Satire is dead. No,
That's very
it for
true.
me.
Rohirri, was there anything? The contest will be after the spark ceremony, but is there anything else, Rohirri? You'll notice that wherever you're signing up, Irida is close behind you. I should say, Irida, you've known Irida. The two of you became apostles around the same time. And Devra and Kethik have always kind of had this usually playful rivalry, sometimes not. And for whatever reason, Irida just especially wants to prove her superiority. And the thing is, she may be smarter, she may be faster, but your bombs are bigger. And that's really pissed her off a lot.
Uh, Probably just comment, wow, you really want to embarrass yourself by signing up for all the things I'm gonna win, huh?
Her
Yeah.
eyebrows narrow. You forget yourself, Rohiri of Kethik. We are currently under the domain of my goddess, and given the sorts of contests have to do with a wide variety of skills as opposed to just one, I will be superior.
I suppose we'll see after.
God, you
But,
can't just. Perhaps if you can blow up the chessboard, then you'll win.
Don't try me, I just might.
Well, wouldn't that
It's
be a
the
sight
biggest
to
shit
see?
eating person?
She just always looks pissed off at you. Irina seems actually very nice and pleasant to other people, but with you, she's always pissed off.
Oh, and Rohiri just loves needling her.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's so easy to do.
Well,
All right. Go ahead.
hello, Irita. How nice to see you.
Saphira of Lycilia. Saphira, Irina's actually always very polite to you.
Yeah.
Has never had a problem with you. She doesn't needle you like that stupid Arya does. She's always very polite. Saphira, your presence as always is lovely.
I see that you're keeping our good friend Rohiri company.
I am simply signing up for the contest. It just so happens that Rohiri is dining to do all of them,
Oh,
which is interesting.
Rohiri, I had no idea that you were interested in strategy and board games.
Indeed.
Well, blow it up is always a valid strategy.
Too true.
No, not. Anyway, that's the point. Not the point. We shall see. We shall see.
Well, Rohiri, we have about a half hour until the spark ceremony begins. Would you care to work out some nerves?
I genuinely don't know if she would.
Irina looks between the two of you, and that is my signal to go. Oh, look,
You're welcome to join us.
I'm sorry.
You're welcome to join us.
I don't know if I want to embarrass Rohiri in such feats of contest.
You could
That
certainly
sounds like-
try.
That sounds like something that money could be put on.
Oh.
Someone say money.
Miro, you're more than welcome to, or Nereus, you're more than welcome to join as well.
Oh, you are too kind, but there is no way I could keep up with a youth like you.
Well then, since you two are so eager to outdo one
Lothian.
another, I think I'll have to see both of you.
No, never mind. He's about to say something, but he catches himself. Stop.
Darius just looks at him. He's like,
Maybe not at that time. Well, in the spirit of things, perhaps this time it won't need to be a contest. It sounds, I heard rumors that depending on how things go with this spark, these sorts of events might have their own official title.
sleeping together.
No, the
spark.
No, after the spark, the contests we're doing, the type of contests we're doing. You know, we just call it a sort of festival, but apparently, mayhaps a more official name will be made after this spark.
Well, that would be the new god's purview.
New things, new terms, so to speak.
Yes. Well, then let us see off the old terminology in the most fun way possible. And she's going to pull Rohiri off. And Irita's welcome to join as well if she wants.
That's.
Let's
I'm
just
going to
leave
go
it up.
nap under a tree.
Let's just roll even or odds. Even or odds, Saphira.
Rohiri, I don't think this is the first time you and Saphira have passed the time at an event like this.
Yeah, I'd say you're
evens.
probably right.
All right, Irita. Irita is thinking about it, but decides that since this is before the spark, it is best that she take care of things beforehand. But speaks that perhaps after she can see, she can try to show up Rohiri.
Her loss.
Lithia notes that once again, Saphira is neglecting official duties, being the public eye, to go and pleasure herself.
She's going to pleasure Rohiri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is nothing new for Saphira.
That's the
All
problem.
right. It's not. It's almost laughably easy to just find. It's not so much that there are tents built up for this because that's ridiculous. It's more of that as apostles, people just clear out wherever you go.
Yeah.
So
Since Saphira
wow,
is
1
going
hour in a Fade to Black. Is that a record or what?
Robbie holds that record.
Oh, that's fair. That's
in-
fair. That's fair.
Robbie had a threesome with himself
I was
and
saying,
a barmaid.
That's the
No,
thing.
that
Even if
might've
someone
taken
does
more
it,
than an
even if
hour.
someone does it faster than me, I feel
Yeah.
like it being a threesome gets me more points.
I
I was
almost
gonna
had a
say,
threesome.
if Sarah had rolled
Almost.
even, like
yeah, almost.
it
Yeah.
would have actually been.
Yeah.
With Saphira off doing the hanky panky though, Lithian will find wherever Nearest is off doing, and we'll find you and be like, so Nearest, how long was it that you were away from the mainland with your last voyage,
Oh,
pilgrimage, whatever it is that you call what it is you do?
both are fitting descriptors. I believe it was 5 years or so.
It's
Right?
a long
Something like that.
time to be away from the mainland, away from your
Alcana.
deity.
Yes, it is true that the further I go, sometimes the more esoteric the portents from Miro become. So, in that way, it is good to set foot on solid Alcanan ground again. But it is hard not to miss the foreign sky. There is a uniqueness to it.
I'm sure there's a lot of foreign draws to the world out there. I hear tell that their beliefs vary from our own.
Oh, significantly. There is much talk depending on where you go. The Prime Goddess always exists in one way or another in those understandings, but as for, I mean, even the way they handle sparking is, well, in many places less formal than it is here. I would say more chaotic, organic, however you want to look at it. It sometimes bodes ill as a result, but there are truly heroic feats that are accomplished by such an ascendancy.
Well, it's good that you came back when you did, then, should your connection feel as though it wavered after so long?
Nereus's eyes sort of like, he gets maybe not 1,000-yard stare, but maybe like 100-yard stare. Like that. Yes. It is good to be closer so that the portents can be clearer. There are still many questions that have to be answered before
Could
my
I
time is up.
insight that 100-yard stare?
Certainly could.
Robbie, I'm gonna kind of leave it up to you. I'll be arbitrator,
yeah.
but Nereus,
I'll-
I'm gonna kind of leave it up to you of how you want to interpret
I will-
Lithian's role.
And I will also let you know as well that this what he's trying to sort of figure out is, being someone who's away for so long,
Right.
finally coming back. How does your loyalty look, having seen more of the world? If that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess he's not really trying to hide it, but I'll just make a deception roll so that you have.
23.
All right. Probably not going to change, but I do get advantage on charisma rolls. I got a 1 and a 4, so that's a 4 you had to beat. Yeah, I would say that Nereus, he's definitely questioning something. There is. You get the sense, I think, that he has as far as loyalty, he definitely has a distant feeling from Alcana. This place doesn't feel exactly like the home that he remembers because he's been away from it so many times. And I would also say that there are that questioning may not be a full-blown crisis of faith,
Mm-hmm.
but he skirts the edges, perhaps, of occasionally blasphemous thought.
As you kind of give that stare and kind of make those mentions and he sees this, I think he would just put a hand on your shoulder. Despite what our peers may sometimes suggest, there is no dishonor in knowing when your time has come, and it's best to pass the mantle on before things get before you end up like Saphira. He gives a smile.
He sort of chuckles. Thank you, Lithium. It's important to stay grounded. And
And to
there's
consider your legacy, what you might leave behind, based on how you pass off the title.
yes, legacy. Something I've thought about for a long time now.
Ooh, trigger word.
It's good to be back. To share wise words with friends, especially those I have not seen in such a long time. And how
Well-
fare you? How has these past 5 years been on the Elkonan continent?
It has been interesting as always. I serve my goddess in the ways that I always have. I know that I'm not the... that to the others, I may not be one of the fondest for them to see, but despite that, I enjoy their presence.
We all have a role to play, and interconnected. We are interconnected pieces in a greater web that creates functionality into this entire world. Sometimes I think we lose sight of that. But
It's something that I remember often. It is vital. It brings balance, it gives purpose, and it is something that is easy to lose sight of. So I'm glad that it's something that you remain keenly aware of, even in your older age.
well, coming home has helped that. Let's just hope that once the festivities are done, we can all return to focusing on what's most important. Because something tells me that the hardest times are still ahead for us.
Indeed. He nods and gives a little bit of a, I don't know if you have alcohol or any drink in your hand, but kind of gives a little bit of a, like a
He'll-
cheer.
Oh, he's always got a honeyed wine with him if it's
Well,
there.
then, yep, he does a clink, but he does not drink.
With that, I think Nereus will continue under his tree, just staring out at the fairgrounds.
Very good. Well, Saphira and Rohirri, let's take some constitution rolls and performance rolls.
One of each, or
One of each.
I say I'm definitely performing right now. So.
Oh, each of you got to do a con roll.
Does that mean
and
you're
on.
does that mean you're
Performance
faking
roll.
it?
No, that means I am tongue deep.
Okay.
got a nat 20 on Constitution.
Whew. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
I got a 20 on performance.
Okay.
Which is actually a 23 because that's the lowest I can roll on performance.
And
That's
a
fair, that's
19 on performance, because I have +0 to that.
Okay.
You know what would have been really, really shitty of me before y'all walked away is if I would have put hex on charisma checks for
That would
That
be
was
really
a
funny.
This has
dick
never
move.
happened before. I don't know.
What's your
I don't know
con?
what
I'm trying to. It won't roll it. D&D
Oops.
Beyond is fucking up.
Yeah, D&D Beyond was having a lot of issues last night for us as well.
19 on the con
Yeah.
check.
What is it? Sorry.
19 on the con save.
Wow. You two are, I would say neck and neck, but it's more like other limbs and limbs.
Yeah, that tent smells.
Elbow
yeah,
deep.
so yeah, basically, you two are each real doing your hard work and trying to outdo the other, but you're each keeping up the pace. Nobody is wearing down before the other one's ready. It's very connected how you two are. It's like you've done this before with each
Are
other.
there-
You do know each other's bodies at least
Are
a
there-
little bit well.
Are there any crowds forming outside the tent?
At first, like nobody was coming because apostle duties, and they think that's what
Well,
it is. But
somebody was.
some, but slowly, I wouldn't say there's a crowd, but there
Yeah.
are certainly some younger people that are of the teen persuasion that are definitely taking bets on who's willing to try to take a peek at
Literally
what's
the-
going on.
So that was the oldest way you could have described that. Of the teen persuasion, there are some youths.
I mean, that was kind of what I was trying to evoke. So, yep.
Yeah,
They're two Utes.
there's two youths looking outside.
Exactly. So, that's that goes quite well. I would say you are both very tired yet refreshed.
Listen,
and-
we only have 30 minutes. We're going to make them count.
Sarah's
very
like, "Here's all
relaxed for the
these
ceremony."
Yeah, here's all these contests and skill checks you can do, and
Right, and they were like, how
And
many
they're like, "Let's go
fingers
fuck."
could I put up her? This is a 3 or
Correct.
4 go. I
Listen, we've got 2 trans girls in this game. They're going to fuck.
I got Nereus definitely. He won't know when the ending is, but I think after like 20 minutes, he's gonna walk up and tell the people to shoo.
Yeah, yeah.
Get out of here. And then he's gonna ask one of the people if they could bring 2 clean bowls of water,
Oh, yeah.
water, and
Easy
just set the carafes out by the outside of the tent. He won't say anything,
Yeah.
but he's just like, all right. He's like this is not the first time, and probably not the first apostle of Saphira that he's been like, all right, let's get some stuff going. If anyone has a change of clothes for them, that would be good.
No, Saphira's clothes are very easy to get on and off. She's good.
Right.
It's very easy to ask for anybody for help. As an apostle, they run at your beck and call. So
Great,
it's
so
and the stuff that you're asking for, it's easy enough to
2
get.
clean carafes of water and 2 clean, towels or the equivalent
Yeah,
are
exactly.
set out next to the tent, and then Darius just quietly walks away.
They are used, but notably, if there's anything Saphira's good at, it's at getting back into looking perfect. So she looks fine.
Part
Honestly, Nereus probably had this stuff brought for you before at the last time that we did this event. So.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rohirri probably uses her cleansing stone and then like rebraids her hair to go.
Everybody has prestidigitation because in Elkanan society, it is important to be clean and looking your best. Some more so than others, of course.
Plus, that means I can give her all the hickeys that I want,
Mhm.
and she can make them disappear.
It's true. And
Is
so
does prestidigitation work on bruises? Is that true?
yeah, that seems
that
a
true?
little-
I mean,
a little sussy.
Somebody
if
get
nothing else, I'm the cleric
I-
here.
I was I
Hold
feel,
on,
yeah, I
time
was
You're
between a
cure
cleric.
woodsy.
I'm calling Jeremy right now.
That's what I was gonna say. Get him on the
Okay,
horn.
I
This
need
is
you to do a
very
favor.
important.
Instead of calling Jeremy, I need you to call Ed Greenwood because he'll have my back on this one.
Twitter or tweet, whatever it's called. Ed, God, I'm old. Ed Greenwood right now.
Yeah.
And be like, bro,
Well,
does prestidigitation
I just saw-
get rid of hickeys?
Hey, look,
Someone just
we
put a
already-
post in our chat that where Ed Greenwood confirmed at the bottom base of Tiefling's Tales is an erogenous zone.
Great.
Because of course he did. Yeah,
But that's the thing he's
Ed's
good
you
at.
kinky motherfucker.
If anybody listening hasn't looked up what Ed Greenwood looks like to give perspective on this, you need to look it up.
You do.
Because
I
he
don't know if I
looks
have.
like Elminster. He's got like
does.
a long
He does.
wizard beard. He's like he's thinner. He's not like a heavy guy, but I mean he's like George R. Martin, but with a longer beard.
yeah.
Like
He
he's
is.
borderline Charles Darwin.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there. He's be like, yeah, I mean there are. It's a dominatrix society. And,
Of course, dwarves can drink elf breast milk.
Yeah, of course. And,
You're like, okay, Ed,
and-
no one asked that.
And I mean, one of the things that's in, I remember it's in older editions, but it's in the 3rd edition book, is contraceptives. There are magical,
Yeah.
cheap contraceptives in Ed Greenwood's world because he was like, no,
Lithien
no.
comes up to Nereus and is like, okay, I can give it enough honeyed wine, and like turns away.
yeah. Now you gotta talk to Ed.
No,
You gotta talk to Ed.
I like
He's
to
like a
imagine.
wizard.
I like to imagine this is all one of like the other like belief systems from like one of the
Yeah,
far
yeah,
off
I'm
like
explaining
lands.
it.
He's like, that's quite enough of that.
They drink Elven breast milk. I'm telling you.
Mitra Glorion is a weird place.
Oh,
Like
okay.
Darius, we're taking the wine away.
And it's not even flying yet.
Yeah.
It's true, it's not.
That's why
Um,
they get up to that weird shit. That's part of the
So-
reason they pulled away. They were like, everyone's trying to drink our milk.
God damn it.
Oh my lord. All right.
Anyway,
Anyway, we're back in Elkana. There's a spark
Please.
ceremony
Yeah.
about
Please.
to happen. I'm going to So, I'm trying to... Okay. Let me change over, and I'm going to also make as I'm describing, going to do a quick explanation to our audience about something. So let me change the music. Okay. So, a horn is sounded after an hour. That is the start of the spark ceremony. Everyone gathers in front of this constructed half dome that's been molded from clay, like a sphere that's cut in half, and you see the inside of it. Inside the curve of this dome is an extravagantly done mural of 8 beings, all in different sorts of positions. You all know this to represent the first ring deities of the 8 of them. There are 5 people that stand along the half circle of the dome, with 2 in the center, with 2 in front of those people in the center of it. One of those peoples is a middle-aged woman wearing bright cyan robes with a deep red-pink lining, along with a small patch of a symbol that looks like a side view of an ornate helmet. You know this to be the colors and the symbol of the goddess Devra. And you know this person to be one of her bishops, who's traveled here all the way from Ter Devra. I'm going to use this opportunity to explain to everybody what the clergy system looks like. So give me 1 second, because I also made this into a thing. All right. I have shown to players the thing, and I'm going to switch over here so everyone else can see it. So this is very, very simplified for my audience members, but each deity, especially the first ring deities, have a clergy, and the setup is as such. The deities on top, they have their right-hand apostle, which is essentially a very specialized position. That is what all our players are. They are all apostles. They're independent agents. They have the closest communication with their deities out of anyone, and they basically do very certain special missions.
If you've played Mass Effect, we're Spectres.
Yeah. Nereus, for instance, is why he can travel. Most people do not leave Alcana, but he has been given leave to do such as that as being the Apostle of Miro. On the right is sort of what you would think of a pretty typical setup of a clergy. The Archbishop is a voted upon role from the Ring of Bishops with other clergy members, and basically they are all kind of the head spokesman for the deity among the pantheon. They live in the main capital of Alcana, which is Sur Alcana. The bishops, which each deity has a number of bishops that serve them, they are essentially, think of it as, the bishops of what you think within a church. They work together, they talk about what we need to do for our deity and stuff like that. Priests are special roles that can be uplifted from followers, and priests usually serve a single deity. It doesn't have to be from the first ring. They can serve other ring deities, and they're usually specialized in some way. So, for instance, Athala, who's the goddess of art, her priests usually are like prodigies in their art. So you've got a priest of drawing, a priest of sculpture, that kind of thing. Followers are basically unpaid volunteers for a deity. They are people that are just real passionate about this deity and doing the work for them, and usually are doing it in hopes to become a priest or maybe even a bishop someday.
I have a
So,
question.
yes, of course.
You mentioned Sir Alcana. I'm just
I
wondering where
did.
Miss Alcana is.
Well, that is Sir as an S. Sorry, Soul. I mean,
Soul Alcana,
Soul
yeah.
Alcana.
Oh,
So,
okay. I
yeah.
rescind my
Or
question.
Sul Alcana, yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I was wrong. Anyway, whoops. Soul Alcana is the capital.
Yeah, it's Sul Ter Endor.
Yes. All right. Let us continue forward. Next to that Bishop of Devra that I described is the male tiefling with the short horns and the red skin. This is Krish that I mentioned earlier. He is a young adult, very fit, very strong, very athletic. He wears a toga of black, which is notable because that is probably the most expensive color to dye to create in Alcana. And this is a very deep black color, so it is usually only kept for such special ceremonial things.
It's also nice because when you spill stuff on it, you don't know. Like the stains.
It's very true.
Doesn't show dirt.
Oh, yeah. You apostles are actually quickly brought to the front of this presentation. So and if you choose to not, that is totally fine. But you are all invited to be in the front row of this ceremony. as that befits your station. Your chairs that you have are the nicest they have to offer. Hand-carved wood with pillows that could probably use a bit more stuffing. However, everyone settles down as the Bishop of Devereux speaks. Beloved people of Calvarine, we have gathered here today to celebrate one of the most momentous occasions a place here can have, a true honor to the village that helped raise this special individual. Long ago, the Prime Goddess gave us our first gift, the gift of life, that we might all experience just a piece of what this world has to offer. But then she gave us our second gift, the spark. All of us have the potential for greatness, but not everyone can handle the responsibility that comes with it. And so it has come to be that when such individuals rise above the rest, take on trials no one else asked, show indomitable spirit where others fall, their inner spark is forged to ignite into a deity. The bishop motions to the black-robed man Krish next to him. Krish has not only been a devout follower of Devereux, but also a true hero to his people of Calvarine. He has participated in many of Devereux's contests, his tenacity only matched by his competitive spirit. And so it is by Devereux's blessing and patronage that I begin the forging. I would like to call everyone to have you can pick religion, history, or arcana to roll here. I'm going to be doing kind of the system that we use here where depending if you hit a certain target number, you will get X amount of questions. I will otherwise be just kind of giving a basic explanation here.
Well, they're all +2 for me.
I have
Alright,
plus
sorry,
5 Arcana. Let's
You
go.
said religion, arcana, or history?
Correct. Unless you can argue for another one.
Well, seeing as how those are all 0, could I instead, I think I would be more concerned with just keeping an eye out to make sure everything's going okay. So could I do a sort of perception check just to keep my eyes everywhere except for the front stage?
Sure.
Callie, I don't know what you did to me, but I am not happy with it. I have definitely been infected by Calicore recently.
That is awful.
It's a 13.
Okay. I mean, you have been looking over this crowd. It's been pretty normal here. Calvarine is a small village, so there's some people that don't really maybe quite understand the reverence that this deserves.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as you know, your apostles are with you. The people that are representing Devereux are on stage. So far, things seem pretty quiet and normal. For everybody else, I'm going to offer... I'm trying to think of how to do this. So Nereus as scoring the highest, I will give you a question once I explain this. So basically, I'm just kind of explaining that this is not new to anybody. Everyone is aware that in Alcana, sparks do not necessarily happen on their own. They are forged and created. Each bishop from the first ring gods only are aware of how to do the sparking ceremony. It's otherwise a pretty well-guarded secret of like how it begins and how it goes and stuff like that. But as it was explained, usually it's people who are who impress a first-ring god that get to do this. And so usually they, as they are doing now, they come and support the place here, and they begin the spark ceremony. They usually have some idea of the kind of domain it will be, but of course they really don't know the official one till the spark happens, or even what the name of the deity will be. Nereus, do you have a question that you would like to ask?
About this do we know... So, do we know if they need to know that a person has a potential to spark in order to cause this to happen, or are they able to fully artificially do this?
In Alcanan society, if it was chosen, anybody could spark.
Okay.
There's no belief that that some people can't.
Gotcha.
Simply just that some people will not rise up to the potential of it. So it's one of those things where the outside people would be told, certain people, show up, and rise up to the occasion and can do it. you also have been in the inner politics for a long time to know that the first string deities get to decide,
Right.
along with usually the bishops as well of their clergy.
I know that this is a question that he got to ask because of his check, so you can just say "shut up, Robbie" if asking for a sort of a bit of a clarification on that as a player is okay or not. Do they make choices based on potential to spark, or is it just purely on no, we pick who it is regardless of what your chances may be without our intervention or not? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and to be fully clear, there's no such thing as a potential to spark. Everybody does. It's simply who do they think is worthy of it.
Right. Yep, fair enough.
And I will, I guess, say I was trying to make it kind of special. Saphir and Rohirri, if you two do have a question that you would like to ask, you know, I'm open to it for the sake of our audience. But if you do not, that's fine.
Are we able to ask, do we know what this guy did that determined he was worthy of this ascension?
Yes, as kind of explained, he had participated. So Devra likes to host, along with other deities, by the way, not just Devra, just different feats and contests, such as races, such as feats of athleticism, such as games contests and things like that.
So by skipping all those contests, we just missed our chance to be chosen to spark. Damn it!
Yeah.
No. The contests are after. You guys just signed up for them.
Okay.
Nobody's missed anything. That's after the spark.
Also, we're already apostles. We're not going to get to spark.
Yeah. To be fair.
Maybe if I'd have won that race, who knows?
Yeah.
What this is, I will say to that point, it is there is kind of a choice that you're making here. So when you are this far along to serving a deity, you are less likely to therefore be a deity on your own. The people who get to be deities themselves are rarely people who are high up in a position with another deity. Maybe so this guy was a follower of Devra. So again, unpaid volunteer. He helped at some of those contests she was running, but he also participated in
Damn, he
them.
got lucky and went viral?
Yeah, very much.
Basically, yeah. So I guess to expound on that, then would it be to kind of say like the other gods are never going to give their assent for Saphira to be made a deity because she's already too entwined to Lysilia? Like they're like we're just going to have another Lysilia if at this point if you spark.
Pretty much.
Got it.
I would say there were two exceptions, however, that I will say because you all know this. Athala and Esteren, goddess of arts and goddess of education. It is well known that they were pretty devout followers, if not priests, of Helene.
Oh, so the boss lady gets to have her devout
and
followers.
These two were. This was some time ago, but they are the newest gods to the first ring. Everybody knows this.
Look, there's a lot of stuff that can happen within the changing of the season. So it makes sense that if any goddess is going to be able to spark her apostles, it would be Helene. I'm just saying.
And Helene is the oldest deity of the first ring.
Yes, you better do what mommy says.
Mommy Helene has said this way. So, but otherwise, yes. And that actually goes true, by the way, to be an apostle. If you are a bishop or an archbishop, you're never going to be an apostle for that deity. So those are also pretty much only chosen between followers and priests of a certain deity.
You gotta be careful. Once you get put into a Marvel movie, if it's a minor role, you ain't getting no A-list roles at that point. That's who you are.
Yeah, basically. Like once you've been kind of typecasted of being a pretty devout follower of a certain deity, it's over.
I assume you can go up that ladder. Like a follower could eventually one day be a bishop.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct. Okay. Yep. Any other? I'm open to questions.
I have one. I just don't know if I could actually justify Rohirri knowing the information.
Let me know and I'll tell you.
I mean, even if just the players know it, that's nice.
Yeah, I guess, has the ceremony ever gone wrong?
I'm trying to think of how to answer this.
I guess in a public way. Like, I guess, if we wouldn't know it as characters, that's fine, but... Because that's definitely not something that I feel like they would want people to know that's possible.
Yeah, that's why I said, I can't justify Rohirri knowing it.
Not publicly. The only person who might know
Can I make
something.
a history check?
You can try. But I feel like I need to impose this. Well, no, not for you, Lithian.
It's
Lithian
alright.
and
I have
Nereus.
+0 anyway, so.
Yeah, Lithian and Nereus are probably the only ones that I would.
No, I don't think he knows.
Okay. Now, there is something you do know, and I suppose I'll share it now. I was going to share it a different session, but who cares? We're all curious today. You all do know, which is similar to what you guys were talking about, what Onrado are of this world. So, Onrado, for those who are aware of Callie's campaign, are usually people who, when they could spark, but they choose not to. So they choose to be these like kind of mortal beings with great power over whatever domain they could have had, and they usually only live for a couple years.
Very short lifespans.
In Alcana, Onrado are basically accidental sparks. They are people who unwittingly spark in a situation when they weren't really supposed to. However, they are forced to become Onrado. There is a sort of kind of emergency task force that comes up when someone accidentally sparks to make them Onrado instead. And Onrado are essentially, they usually go to kind of live pretty secluded lives. They often can become almost like prophets, for kind of a Greek term to put it. So people will still go to them for help and for assistance and for questions. But that is, if we're going to talk about a spark going wrong, that is the closest you would know to a spark going wrong. And that is something everybody knows. All right. If there's no more questions, I'll get going to the ceremony. The bishop motions for Krish to bow his head and cross his arms over his chest before nodding to the 5 people standing in the back. Everyone standing in the back opens their arms to the sky in supplication to a deity yet to ignite. The bishop then murmurs a chant only for Krish to hear. There is this, as that happens, there is this great magical energy thrumming into the air until these wisps of light that start at Krish's feet and then go to the top of his head and swirl around him until he is practically lifted off the ground. You can't see him anymore within this powerful light, and it whips faster and faster and faster around him until finally it blinks. And Krish is different. In a way, he has a body, and yet he doesn't. He almost seems more of like one with the very air, the very essence of life than he is with all of you. He is no longer mortal. His skin is color. His skin that used to be that sort of kind of deeper red is now a various swirl of colors of deep blue and deep red that are gradients that ripple across his skin into these various shapes that kind of remind you of almost like flags. And it's just this constant movement across his skin. His small horns grow just a little bit larger, while his hair that was more kind of short cropped and black becomes wild and just all floating through with a wind that just isn't there. And then when his eyes open, they are glowing orbs as he looks beyond the people in front of him. And when he speaks, it's not the shy Smallville kid, Saphira, that you were talking to. This is a god. And he says, "I am Zaloris, god of sportsmanship." There's thunderous applause and cheers to meet the fledgling god as he proudly takes in his preferred method of worship. Whether any of you join into the chorus is up to you. And as you can see, he just seems to be slowly, while he's kind of fading into the light, into this air, his very essence seems to be slowly but surely dispersing. And you know this is pretty normal for, gods can make themselves be visible to mortals, but it's not frequent that they do so. They are usually only in times of worship and things like that, and otherwise they go sit in their heavens. And you can see that that's slowly happening to him. The Bishop of Devra speaks again. While Zaloris must leave us now for his well-earned seat among the deities, his first clergy of bishops will be here to answer any of your questions. She sweeps her arm towards the 5 people that were in the back that had their hands raised before. One of these newly appointed bishops steps forward to welcome the crowd. I have new music to put on. And he announces, "In honor of Zaloris, may I introduce Calvarine's very first sportsmanship competition, the Zalorix." And there is a thunderous crowd as now all of you see that the fancy competitions are about to begin, or the Zalorix, as they are now going to be called.
And that's why there's nothing for smart people. Sportsmanship. Okay.
I told you there's history trivia in the games.
I know the one. But it makes sense why it's mostly like,
Mostly
physical-based
athletic,
stuff.
yeah. And why Deborah would have supported it.
Exactly.
So
There's
we have our
definitely,
Olympics
I feel like
equivalent
there's
now, the
definitely
Zalorix.
There's definitely one
Zalorix.
person out there who's like, no, chess is a sport, guys. Chess,
Oh, for
chess.
sure.
I'm an athlete too.
It's just
It's you?
No, it's Everine, the follower for Esterin, the god of education.
Well, Estrin has their own kind of sports that they play. They call them esports,
Right.
which do belong at the Zephyr
And just
Olympics.
like real
Zalorix.
sports, you age out of them incredibly quickly.
Oof, oof. As the crowd cheers, there is an excited departure as people rush towards the various competitions that are now happening. So, Apostles, are you ready for the first Zalorix?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
got her
yeah.
sunglasses on now because that was really bright.
All right.
The
let-
hangover is killing her.
All right, let's see what we're going to be doing first here. How about I'm going to do the ones with the most players first, and then we'll, Rohiri, you and Irita are going to be going neck and neck for a lot of these. And if anybody's doing anything else between these, please let me know.
Saphira's going to stand with Lithian.
All right. Do you want to?
He takes a step away. JK.
Was there something you
Just
want to
like-
interact with,
Just
Lithian?
a wide.
Not currently. But
Probably
maybe
talking
between the contests.
Saphira, was there something you wanted with Lithian, or shall we begin one of the contests?
Just going to talk to him.
Oh yeah, sure, go for it.
So as the contests are getting started and Rohiri is down on the in the pitch getting ready to compete, all looks just exhausting, doesn't it?
What about showing reverence for your deity through actions, causing perhaps even discomfort or pain to yourself is exhausting?
Oh, I just mean the actual competing. There's so many ways to show reverence to your deity that don't involve trying to run faster than the next person.
Such as?
He shrugs. Depends on what deity, I suppose.
I suppose.
How do you show reverence to the goddess of the seasons?
Kind of raises his hands and looks around. This celebration has gone off without a single hitch. We celebrate, we perform, we make merry, and a new deity is among us. Is there any greater change?
So change in general.
The seasons are always changing.
Though, that can be a dangerous thing when things turn to winter.
Danger is an interesting concept. Like the idea of chaos and order, people think that they are opposites to one another, but you cannot have one without the other. Winter is a necessity. It calls the weak.
Well, I myself prefer the summer. It's warm and pleasant, and life is abundant.
Indeed. And if it wasn't for the winter, life would continue to grow. Crops, resources, food would become scarce. And then before you know it, the merriment that we have would be replaced with selfishness. People out for just themselves. People asking what they can have, what they can take.
Oh,
Not learning how to pass on what it is that they've grown throughout the winter to those who are less fortunate and need it during the winter.
oh, Lithian. Could you be more of a downer? It's a celebration. We would spark a new god to handle that.
It is, and I'm looking forward to the celebration one day when we also get to welcome amongst our ranks the new apostle of your goddess. And I will be there to make sure that it goes off without a hitch, just as I have here. As much
Well.
as you may want to run, you are getting older, and the younger generation will always be more swift.
I see. Well, the younger generation is welcome to try to keep up. I have no intention of going anywhere.
Indeed.
Well, with those threatening words coming through,
Oh, that was a nice talk.
They had a good. I thought that's the most honest conversation the two of them have ever had.
We understand each other perfectly.
Yeah.
let's do one of the. Let's do a race. So I know it's just Rohirri, but this will be fun with Irita. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just realized that Callie does not have access to the character sheet I had kind of made for Irita, so we're gonna use someone else's character sheet and go with it.
You want an athlete? Go grab Roz.
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
It's well, I'm
I was
actually
gonna
using
say Roz, Ayla.
well, no, I got somebody else I'm using that's close enough to what Irita's stuff is, so that'll be fine. Okay, so Rohirri, it is just you. So this is just truly a feat of race as fast as you can. So what we're going to be doing here is an initial athletics roll for everybody, and if you don't meet a certain DC, you need to make a dex save, so you're not tripping and falling. And we will be using that to basically see who can end up at the finish line first. So, Rohirri, why don't you roll an athletics roll for me?
That is... Where the hell is my athletics? 17.
Sorry, I have to do... I'm going to have two NPCs face off against you, okay? So this is going to be... Oh, shoot. Okay, well, we're just going to have to make these both public. That's fine.
Also, Rohirri, you have a bardic inspiration that you were given in the moment.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I didn't open her up. Sorry. I apologize. I am basically just going through random character sheets to do this. So just give me 1 second here. Here's what I was
What?
looking
How did the like bardic inspiration come about? Is this just like a sex thing, or like did you bardically inspire her as it's starting?
Oh, no, it was when they were fucking.
Oh, okay.
She's just had it
Got it,
since.
Yep.
at.
Okay.
What did you roll for that athletics? I'm sorry.
17.
17. All right. So you are traversing ahead, but Irita has gotten in front of you. Unfortunately, one of the other poor contestants who is not an apostle has already started to trip and fall behind.
That's right,
Neither
buddy.
of you need to make deck saves, but this person does, which they have pretty good deck. So let's see. Plus. Oh, okay. Still back in the race, but trailing behind. Go ahead and make another athletics roll.
It's a D10 when you choose to use it, by the way, Rohirri.
Oh, damn. I was gonna say, how many of these are we doing for the race?
We're gonna do 3, so I can keep
Okay.
track.
Rule of threes for tabletop.
Yeah.
I kind of
Very
assumed,
common.
but I wanted to double check so like this didn't end up being the last roll and like that I had saved it for a roll that wasn't gonna happen. That's a dirty 20 for Rohirri.
You are good to go. Unfortunately, Irita is starting to trip. Irita, what is your deck save? Let me see if she's back in the game. Ooh, that just
Oh, no.
no, she
What'd
is.
you
Nat
get?
ones. Nat
She-
one.
Nat 1. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. She nat 1. What's the total she needs to hit?
She needs to hit a 13 to make sure she's still up.
I will change that nat 1 to a 14.
Is that in range of you?
He's watching the race, probably.
I'm watching the race.
Are you a divination wizard?
He
Yeah.
is.
I thought
Alright.
that had
Why
a
did I
like
think you were a
30-foot range on
cleric?
it.
No, Rohirri's a cleric.
I'll allow
I
it
can-
for the
I
sake
can
of roleplay. For sake of the roleplay, I'll allow it.
All right.
She's still behind. She is behind. Well, you two are now at the same time
Neck and
right
neck.
now. Yeah. Hold on. I need to see if your poor non-apostle friend, if they're still tripping. Hold on.
This poor person who has to compete against 2 apostles.
Yeah, it's not a good
Some
not a good
bullshit.
idea.
No, you know what? That's how you earn a spark.
That's how you
That's
get
how you
noticed. That's
earn a
true.
spark.
Yeah.
Also,
Are-
just so we know for the future, not that it matters right now, there is no range to it. It's anybody I can see.
Oh damn.
That's so ridiculous. I was gonna allow it for sake of roleplay anyway. So right now, Irina and Rohirri are neck and neck, and poor Joki is trailing behind, doing her best. Go ahead and do one more athletics roll.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just before I even roll this, I'm gonna burn the inspo on it.
Okay.
Smart.
28.
Yeah. Let me just see how the other person does if they get ahead of So nobody trips this time, but Irina is trying to get there, but she's doing her best to not trip this time, so she's really being more careful with her feet, but that is impeding her speed. So as she is kind of watching her feet a little bit too much, she realizes as Joki behind her is getting a little too close to her, she's like, "What?" And you reach the finish line. And you have won the first contest. Congratulations.
As Grandpappy Catholic told me to do.
She looks over to Lithian and just whispers, "Oh, Irida is not going to be able to sleep tonight."
Let's do one that's with more party members. So how about we do the history trivia
boy.
one. So that is Nereus and Rohirri. And let me open up the 2 other people. I had you and you. Oh, good. You're right next to each other.
Are you not participating in anything, Lithian?
Not in the way that you would normally think. Watching
no.
is still participation.
Isn't it, though?
All right. What we're going to do here is, for sake of, for the trivia, so I know this is a little weird because we're going to be doing rolls instead of like actual riddles and stuff like that. So we're just kind of making this kind of simple. So appreciate your patience with that. What I'm going to basically do is I'm going to set a DC that will extend. And basically, if you meet it, you get a point. If you don't, you don't. And we will total up the points at the end. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So this first DC, we're going to set as a 10. And we're going to be going up to 13 and then 16. Okay?
All right.
So first DC 10, you may use either history or religion, since in this world it's kind of the same thing, for the first question. So go ahead.
After her comment, I'm going to, like, if I could play it off this way, even though he's not participating, I'd like to roll just for him to, like basically whisper the answers to Saphira as they're happening to see how many he can, like, get right, even though he's not actually in it.
Just do the same rolls.
Okay. 15.
All right, so I'm just rolling for this. Give me 1 second. I got 2 people I'm rolling for. And then you have... Okay. Oh. I am not Saphira. Sorry. I don't know why. Okay, there we go.
It's because I'm also logged into my account.
Everybody is asked the question of who was the first ring god to spark, and you all got it right. It is Halliday. Excellent work.
I'd have been real upset if I rolled low on that. To not get that one.
I think when
that would have been embarrassing.
That's why.
I think with that one, when you lean over and whisper to her, she's like, "How impressive."
Yeah.
yeah. She's like,
I am making up these questions once I see
No,
who
that's totally
succeeds
fine.
the role.
The next,
that-
the next
that-
one, the next one's like,
super
who is,
hilarious.
who is the goddess of pleasure? Lycilia.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
you're so well educated.
All right, go ahead with your next rolls. We're trying to reach 13.
13.
18.
17.
28.
All right, I should have
Jesus,
I should have
yeah.
set these DCs higher. Sorry. I should
I
have.
mean, we're the
that's okay.
apostles. It makes sense.
Yeah, we're good at this.
We
Yeah,
know
this
these
There's no
things.
gods.
For us to show off, right?
We
Right.
know
Exactly.
gods.
All right. So, this one's also pretty simple. The question is regarding let me think here. The question has to do with what is the location of your enemies that had been dispatched thousands of years ago through the help of Helene and some of the first string gods. And you all know the
Ooh.
answer to be the Moon Rosalind.
Another Helene question.
Excellent work, y'all. All right,
Yes.
one more. I already said it's going to be 16, so we're going to keep it 16.
Right.
Sorry in advance to the elves in a few hundred years.
Kind of the elves' own doing, as it turns out. But yeah, it turns out we sent them there.
Yes.
Oops.
Well, we didn't want them here.
Damn. All right. Well, everybody's just doing real well. I was not expecting to roll this high for everybody. That's okay. You guys are all super smart, and there were definitely some people who tried to join in that did not do so well.
How do like the actual like sports people of the celebration feel that like the most riveting competition is like the history one? Like everyone's super neck and neck.
So initially there's some like, what is the point of, a talking back and forth, a trivia question? But then what starts to happen is there are some bishops of Dever. They're like, now, goddess of strategy. That means both martial and mind, to try to remind them of the importance of such things. This last question, I would say, actually becomes more of a philosophical debate because the
no.
question that is asked of you is what basically what would it take to bring about another first ring deity? And the answer is basically meant to be only the first string deities praise their name would tell us. But this brings a very spirited debate among everybody of what kind of answer this looks like. And it becomes less of a... the person asking the question is like, I thought this would be a good way to end the competition, but everybody else is just arguing back and forth of what this looks like.
I thought this would be a simple answer and not just the apostles almost ready to throw hands at each other.
So if you'd like to say what your answer would be, you may go ahead.
I think Nereus would say, so define the question again for me, like the exact question.
What would it take, or what would need to happen for there to be another first string god to be allowed to be joined in the first string pantheon?
Arius is going to say that it would require that all of the followers and all of the first string gods, praise their name, come together in true unity to elevate someone to a position in a great time of need. And that great time of need we've seen in the past when first ring deities have appeared, and that's what's brought unity to the continent. And so he would say that unity is what is required.
Interesting. Everine, who is the apostle for Esterin, speaks about how historically, the first string gods had come together during a time when certain parts of the pantheon had not been fully fleshed out. And so therefore there would need to be a missing need for the Pantheon, and that is why Esteren and Athala were able to rise, even though it has been relatively recently. I say recently, hundreds of years, by the way, when I say recently, of these deities. So he speaks about, you say unity, he speaks about a missing need for the people. Somebody else want to join the spirited debate?
I would like Lithian to give his answer to
Yeah,
course.
she'll give hers.
Saphira last though. I want to wait till everybody else goes.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Rohirri's answer is kind of similar, in a similar vein to Nereus's of it would have to be like a time of desperation where Alkana's defenses are tested and found wanting.
Ooh, very Catholic answer of you.
Saphira says that that is, as loath though she is to admit it, not Arya, but Esteren,
Are you talking the god
god of education.
Esteren? Yep,
Yeah.
you got it.
Loath as she is to admit it, Esteren has the right of it to say that the first ring gods and goddesses have all been about filling the needs of a people. My own goddess came at the end of 100 years of war when it was time for us to switch back into peace and prosperity. I would assume we need something that institutes a need upon our continent again.
Lithian nods and for once is in agreement with Saphira, and I, as a player, love that the progression of all of the answers ends with Lithian, who just kind of whispers to Saphira, destruction. No one's going to share the power. The gods wouldn't allow another into the first ring unless there was a great need. War brings and moves all things forward.
Oh no,
Lithian, this is why no one likes standing next to you at these events.
And
Saphira,
yet you chose to stand here.
Saphira, when Lithian mentions war, it's interesting because the people of Alkana know what war is, obviously. Part of their history has been marked by a great war, the war with the Great War. The war with these weird beings that were these weird, monstrous people that just wanted untoward destruction, trying to take over Alkana. And so a great war was to be had. But since then, there's been no war in Alkana.
I agree. I think we need a war so that they can see that war is bad.
All right, Foro.
The only
All right,
way to
first
teach 'em.
promise.
Oh no, Saphira and Lithian are agreeing. A sign of the apocalypse.
Yeah, I feel like someone looks up and
And-
sees like Saphira and like Lithium both nodding to one of each other as they speak and go, that can't be good.
I'm sorry, folks, but that was one of the triggers of the way for the comet to come. So I'm afraid the game has
The
ended.
comet's here.
This is a one-shot.
Oop.
This is.
The alignment is complete. The
Per-
stars have ordained it.
All right. Let's see here. The next one, I will do a pause if anybody wants to do anything, but I'm gonna do. We're gonna do the wrestling. Rohirri, you and Irene are gonna get at it. So.
Oh,
if
this
it's,
is the one I've been waiting for.
Following that competition, though,
Yeah,
as we sort of
go
make
ahead.
off to the other one, Lithian, without looking at Saphira, just says, "We don't always need to enter competitions to know where we stand."
Very true. And yet, what are we here for if not to inspire?
It's not our job to inspire here, in this case, and he just kind of motions to, I guess, wherever that deity ascended,
No.
or whatever. Or,
It's not.
Is he still here? Because I think you mentioned like he's sort of like
he's pretty
suffused
much he's kind of
away.
he's pretty much suffused at this
Right.
point. You would say that his presence can be felt, but if you're
Sure.
looking for like his representatives,
there's not
the-
like there's not a physical manifestation.
Yeah, there's
of
not a
him
throne
here
that he's sitting
anymore.
in.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Being like, yeah, my party.
Yeah, it's my party. All
He's
right.
doing like a kegger somewhere.
It's like doing a keg stand. No, that is what happens at my goddess's parties.
All right, very good. All right, let's go.
Wrestling time.
Let's go to some wrestling. So, we're basically going to be doing competing athletics or acrobatics. We're going to be using grappling rules and go from there.
Saphira is watching very intensely.
Of course she is.
If
I'm
asked,
sure
she says
she
she's
is.
scouting.
I'm sure she is. Okay, let me see here for something. Oh, okay, we're gonna do that then. All right, we're just gonna do Rohirri versus Irita for this one. So go ahead.
Because that's what it's going to end up being.
Yeah, exactly. It basically, you know, the two of you do rounds with other people, and it's not even a contest. These poor people have no chance. And so now it is what everyone's waiting for, and there is a circle of people. Everyone's been waiting to see the legendary the goddess Devra and the god Kethek are always, you know, trying to butt heads. Her strategy against his bastions, and now we have their apostles that are facing off each other. And
I can vouch for Rohirri's wrestling ability.
Irita's ready to go, so we are going for it. Ooh, Irita, that's not great. What did you get?
Nat 20 for 23.
As I say.
That is two. It's we're gonna do this. Ooh, nat 20 though.
What is it Brennan says?
You gotta honor the nat 20.
Yeah.
And
there.
you gotta respect the cock. Those are the two things you have to
Yeah.
remember.
Well,
Back
I
to
was
cock.
gonna say 2 out of 3, and then I was gonna say that a nat 20 is 2 successes, but
Usually,
that's
yeah,
best 2 out
nat
of 3.
20s are
So
two successes. yeah.
we're just gonna say that it is to honor the nat 20, but also honor Irita's what's the word I'm looking
Attempt.
for? Attempt.
Completely dunk on her.
Yeah, we're gonna say that you go at it for some time, but you are definitely awarded
Clearly
victorious.
toying with her.
Yeah, just clear victorious, and she is seething right now.
Hit her with
Uh,
the
sh-
people's elbow.
This is two contests she has lost, and she is not having it. And that is the end of the wrestling.
Rohirri calls her a jabroni.
Jabroni.
I was gonna say, I feel like Rohirri just lets her exhaust herself and then finishes it
Yeah,
in a
she's not.
very, Catholic
That
kind
is
of.
ironically you using strategy versus the.
Yeah, yeah.
Finish her.
Saphira looks at Nereus. She should have relaxed with me first.
Clearly, that she does. It does seem that her opponent's quite limber now.
Let's go next to our dancing competition.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, if you'll excuse me.
Of course.
This is not gonna be pretty for me.
She kind of waves a hand over the wraps that she wears, and they do transform into a elegant red dancer's costume. It looks almost like phoenix feathers coming off her.
Lithian is going to cast Enhance Ability on himself. Oh no, we were supposed. Is it okay to join in at the last minute even if we
I
didn't sign
know-
up beforehand?
Oh, an apostle can join anytime.
Yeah.
So I think once everyone's up there on the stage, then Lithian will remove his jacket, hand it to Nereus, and then walk out on stage next to Saphira.
So a man
wait,
could
hold.
bust a move, but he doesn't want to show you young.
Are we
bloods
allowed
how-
to use magic in this?
No
We're
one said. Yeah, you're
we're
apostles. No one's.
No one's gonna
say
tell us
No
no.
one's gonna
It's
tell
also
you no.
not something I wouldn't have been like, hey, enhance ability. Like it'll just
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
little like.
Listen,
and then
Nereus
walk
isn't
out there.
gonna tell. He loves inflicting chaos on these things by
Mhm.
occasionally doing some bullshit.
Yeah, no.
So-
No one's going to tell you no. I mean, it's one of those things that, like, if you can, it's ideal if you do it, like, before or kind of the tricksy way that Nereus is. So, you know, just eliciting a fireball is probably not going to make too many people happy.
Well, that's an attack. That's different. That's yeah. If I just nuke I'm like, you're not gonna win this race, bitch.
As Lithian comes out, he just says, "Don't worry, I don't plan to upstage you."
She smiles. Not at all. I welcome you. It is good that you perform. Enjoy
Oh, God.
yourself.
All right, so I'm going to change the rules of this a little bit. I know, because we have 3 players now. So how I'm going to do this is a little bit similar to the races in that there's 2 checks that you technically need to complete. There is a performance check, and then there is an athletics or acrobatics, your choice check. And what this is to represent is the athletics or acrobatics is to represent like how much you can keep going. While the performance check is how much can you get the crowd like really, loving what
Yep.
you're doing here. So that's 2 different checks. I am going to just do a round, and what I'm going to say is highest performance will win as far as crowd loving you. The athletics or acrobatics, we're going to try to keep this simple. Let's keep this as a DC 12 to start with.
All right.
Well,
So-
he has specifically enhanced his charisma because he's not going to try to put too much into this, but is just going to see if he can evoke his popularity as Apostle of the First to
Mhm.
maybe earn him some points.
Do you want performance or dexterity or
Uh,
acrobatics?
one's first?
Please do performance first to see how well you get the crowd happy with you.
Nat 20 for a 33.
Well, it's no
Jesus.
surprise.
I got a nat 20 and a nat 1.
Oh,
16.
So it's only a 24.
Okay. Well, it's very clear that Saphira is stealing the show.
She casts mirror image so she can have backup dancers.
Yeah. But
So annoyed. So annoyed. Hey, like da 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 da. You just become a river dance line.
yeah, Saphira, it's clear that for the 2 nat 20s, what I'm going to say is that even if you fail these acrobatics or athletics checks, you're going to be kind of given a pass to like keep going. But basically, Saphira, everyone's paying attention to you. This is no surprise. People are super excited when they heard. So somebody put the dance contest on purpose for you, just because they wanted to see some of that silver. But Lithian, you're drawing some attention to yourself, and I think people are really surprised because the Apostle for Helene is usually pretty quiet.
Guy can dance.
Yeah, and
classically 2 left feet. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
they're
so
like, wow.
Yeah, so you're really people are really caught off guard by how graceful you actually are with that, and people had no idea you even had some of these skills, and some of your natural psychic abilities kind of can come into play to help you
Shit, I didn't even
twirl a little
think
bit,
about that.
twirl a little bit higher, a little bit faster, a little bit more nimbly, and things like that. Rohiri, you're doing great. Honestly, you're moving your body. But you got 2 people that are really stealing the show, and it's hard to go up against that.
I feel like Rohiri is kind of like, it's for the best.
I think Rohiri's technical aspects. I think anyone who appreciates the technique of dance, they're like she has this down. She's like all of the basic, but she doesn't necessarily have all the flash.
Exactly.
You know.
I feel
Yeah.
like Rohiri probably using produce flame to do some kind of fire dancing.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
everyone's like, oh shit. But then over here, she's just got her titties out.
And
Like,
that's-
now hold on.
And back.
All right.
And back
At
here.
the same
Yeah.
time, I'm not going to diminish this. My girl's been literally taking dance since she was 4.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure your technique is fine, but it's hard to remember because your titties are out.
Listen, Saphira was.
That's the only reason I'm a popular streamer, right?
yeah. The classic Callie. They're like, oh, tonight is maps and titties out. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know.
Magical Memories Monday.
Magical Memories
Memories
Monday.
Monday. Oh no,
Yeah,
You're-
absolutely.
that's gonna be a thing now. Oh jeez.
100%.
All right, everybody make athletics acrobatics. Like I said, you only need to be a DC of 10 to keep in the game.
Damn.
But Saphira and Lithian, even if you fail, the crowd goes wild
Well,
for you.
I got
26.
a 10.
You got a 10, you said?
Yep.
All right, cool. Everybody's in. Everybody is keeping up and wanting to keep going. So we're
You
going to
said-
keep going.
You said this is 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yep.
just doing 3 rounds. Listen.
I will
My-
throw
my
a
improv
side
game is strong.
bolstered knack onto this next one.
All right. Go ahead and make performance checks again.
Yeah.
Once again, we're going to be competing with each other to see who gets the crowd.
27.
All right, Saphira. Right here he's at
26.
Ooh.
What's
So
the
one.
DC?
So this is just competing.
Oh,
Whoever's
okay.
highest.
Never mind.
So would you say, since technically Saphira's check was higher than mine, that I didn't make the DC, so I get the side bolstered knack back? No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you know, Sarah, you figure that out. I don't know.
I have no idea.
This is why this game isn't built for PvP.
It is not.
No,
Listen.
I'm going to use it
Well,
because
there's
I still feel like coming in one under Saphira and
One
just
under
showing
is saying
like,
something.
That's a big
Like,
deal.
yeah.
100%.
That is a big deal. People are kind of going back and forth between the two of you. I would say it's like, whoa, this is the show here between the two of you. I'm gonna be raising this DC a little higher than I have been. Sorry for cheating a little bit, but we're gonna make this acrobatics athletics a DC of 15 now.
DM can't cheat. You're good.
20.
You're good, Saphira.
Natural 20.
All right,
So
we're all good.
Lithian, for that natural 20,
I would like to,
yeah, go
on
ahead.
this,
okay,
after keeping up with her so well and then hitting the natural 20,
yes.
he bows out early and takes his leave and goes and takes his jacket back and stands next to Nereus.
Ooh, okay. So we're
A
gonna do this-
gentleman's finish.
And kind of gives like a bit of like a bow to Saphira, like, you know, recognizing like you're obviously the dancer here, so this one is yours. You don't have to compete for it.
We're gonna do the last round, and I'm gonna explain reactions to that after that.
Mhm.
So can we have one more round for Rohirri and Saphira performance checks?
Do you want a 17, Rohirri?
I just got a 19,
30.
so not terribly.
All right. So you
Rohirri
guys,
roll it as well as she can without
Hell
hell yeah.
Saphira
Hell
is
yeah.
still going at it. Now, what we're gonna be saying here is for a DC 20 of acrobatics or athletics to see how well you finish. Do you trip on your feet? Do you make it graceful? DC 20.
25.
21.
All right. And with that, with a flourish of a finish, other people have been hemming and hawing and tripping over their feet over the other way and not doing so great. But you all managed to get up there. But Saphira, the crowd is yours. It's wild. It's crazy. They love you. They're going for it. And but I will say that even with that crowd finish, there is one thing that's a little bothersome. There's just some people that just can't help talking about how gentlemanly it was of Lithian to bow out and give you away as the winner here. And some people are starting to speculate if perhaps Lithian was afraid of upstaging you somehow.
Getting a little bit older, you know, it's hard to keep up.
Wow.
It's not most
Ultimately-
people. It's just
No, ultimately for
Clarence.
her, this dance is for her goddess, and she danced as well as she could, and she feels like she did fine, so she's good.
And you did. You certainly did. Excellent work, all of you. We are next going to be doing, we got a javelin throw to do. All right. I guess we're up with Rohirri and Irita again.
That's
This is just strength checks for Rohirri. So,
Just straight up yeet.
yes. Yeah.
Got it.
Which,
Eat it.
by the way, Irita's not good at, so this is going to be
Aw.
fun. Yeah. Well, the
That's a
character
shame.
I'm
Hate,
the
she's
character
gonna
I'm using
hate
for.
me by the end of this.
Oh, she's done with you. The character I'm using to represent Irita is not good at this, so just a flat 1d20. So this will be fun. We're gonna just keep them as DCs of well, let's start with 10 and go from there. Oh, Irita.
The 19 for Rohirri.
Yeah, it's not much of a contest. We're gonna just do one more round of this and call it good, I think, 'cause ooh, yeah, Irita's losing her game. She's losing her edge really bad.
Somebody
Yeah, I got
tells
an
me we might
18
be
on that
welcoming in
one.
a new apostle by the end of the week.
change is on its way. Okay, Lithian.
Winter is coming.
Truthfully. Now calm down, Saphira. That's not what he means.
What's your second roll, Rohirri?
Saphira
18.
is actually can I sleight of hand or stealth to try to cover up popping up some red dust?
That would be sleight of hand.
Okay.
If you'd like. And anybody needs to beat a perception roll against you. But I will say for everybody here, if you're not going to make a full perception check, please check your passive against this.
Yeah,
Dirty
I'm not
20.
gonna-
I feel like I'm a little busy right now.
That's fair. You also can just
Um,
choose to fail if you don't think you can search
I
it.
will make that perception check, as I am still keeping an eye on her.
Yep, you are.
And I
That's
will
true.
add a psi bolster to that as well.
You got it.
I'm not checking, and it's 11, so
Sounds good.
I'm tricked.
I trust you guys to be fair.
Exactly.
My passive investigation is great, but these old eyes.
yeah.
Meets beats, he made it.
Meets beats, yeah. So Lithian, you almost miss it because you're kind of you actually miss Saphira at first. Well, no, she's actually nearby, so like you think you have your eye on her, and so you kind of think like you're okay, but then you just out of the corner of your eye, you see her reaching down and before coming back and kind of shaking her head a little bit. It's a
Okay.
snort, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay, just making sure I described that correctly.
Let me just double check something really quick. Hmm. No, never mind. I'm not going to. Yeah. All right. He just clocks it.
You got it. The last contest I have here is the board games of strategy, and Irita is definitely going to be doing this. Rohiri, you had yourself down. Is anybody else joining that? I only had Rohiri down, but I just wanted to check.
Nereus would be willing to participate. It's not something he's excellent at, but
Okay.
he's everybody else got to have fun. He just thinks we're all here to have a good time.
It's true. You all.
You know, it's about the experience, not just.
Who's
about
not
me.
having a good time?
I'm
It's
gonna
true.
say I will have Lithian's having a great time.
Yeah.
He's
Listen.
not arguing that anyone isn't.
Oh, okay,
listen,
fair enough.
listen, we are celebrating the god of sportsmanship, not the god of competition. Very specifically.
Ah, interesting. I didn't even kind of clock that. I think I was
This
very
is why Rohiri
sportsmanlike
has
in
not
that last
been using
one.
Yeah, I
magic.
agree. Yeah,
Yep.
true.
So, how I'm gonna do this is if you have any games that's like that you're proficient with, I will allow you to.
Proficiency.
Yeah, exactly. But otherwise, yeah. So I'm gonna be doing that for Irita. This person I'm basing her off of doesn't have proficiency in games, but Irita would, so I'm gonna be doing that role. So, it's 3 people. So, give me I think what I'm going to do is have, I'm going to give you somebody else, Nereus, to verse against.
Okay.
Irita's going after Rohiri. And we're going to do kind of the 3 rounds, whoever wins, basically. And then whoever wins those rounds are going to compete together. Unless it's NPCs, then I'm just going to call it. So give me
Right.
1 second. I just want to figure out who I'm going to have against you. Yeah, let's do... Okay, well, it's the same... It's going to be the same role, which is fine. Okay, so first, let's do Nereus, and I'm actually going to have it be... You are going to go against Everine, the apostle for Esterin, the god of education.
Sounds good.
So he comes up and
How
Nereus.
old is Everin? How long has he held the?
Oh, he's a pretty young guy. So he's younger than you. I would not say he is,
Right.
but he is like still kind of early prime. So I'm gonna say
Has he got
early.
his tenure yet? But
Yeah,
Right.
he's like early 40s, late 30s. He's still pretty active, but he's no like sprite chicken.
Yeah,
There he is.
Everin.
It's good to see you after all of your travels. I know you've been all across. From what I have heard, I would love to kind of sit down with some of the things that you have discovered.
I would be happy to regale you, and would very much like to contribute to the archives of Alcana what I have learned. There's
We
still
very much
I don't
appreciate it.
understand, but now,
Yes.
how's this tactics thing work? I'm no man of war. You're probably more studied than me in that.
Well, this sort of thing is a simple tactics game. I simply am just learned from the things that I have read. But honestly, I have seen live demonstrations at play. I'm more of an observer, I would say, than an actual doer. So perhaps with our different types of skills, yours in the world and mine in Alcana proper, we shall
We
see.
we could have an excellent conversation about how maybe we could defend this continent.
Ah, wonderful. Neris, you would know that Everin, part of his job is really actually, like, you travel the world, he travels Alcana. He
Right.
is going firsthand on some of the various, ancient things. And, he's been searching something pretty heavily recently that he's been keeping close to the chest. You don't even quite know exactly all it is. And he's mentioned that once he's learned more, he will tell you, but he's been very hesitant because he thinks it's going to change kind of upstart some things, and he
Don't like
understands
the
that
sound of
he understands that while knowledge is important, there are some things that are matters for peace. So we are going to verse each other, so go ahead and roll the check that I described.
What was the stat? I didn't.
I'm really kind of letting you take choice, so you can do intelligence. That's fine with
Alright.
me.
I don't have proficiency in any games, so I
Okay.
will do an intelligence roll. I am going to substitute whatever my roll would have been for a 17. So 17, 23.
You got it. Let's see what he does, because he is proficient. He does not win that round. So you two kind of try and feel each other out. It's been some time since you've done this, done kind of a games like this, but I think through kind of the conversation, you concentrate a little bit better, and the first round is yours.
Sarah, I
Really
feel like
each other out. I thought that's a Saphira thing.
yeah, correct. Sarah, I feel like I left my curse on that computer. It is rolling terribly.
It was rolling really well in the beginning.
Yeah.
For the history contest, it was
yeah,
rolling
true.
super well. I was like, what are these rolls? But for this one, it's fine. It's whatever.
I definitely had the Cali curse because I seem to only be rolling decently on roleplay crap now.
That's so
Right.
funny. Nereus, go ahead for the second round.
All right.
Ooh.
Intelligence
Everine
roll.
is did a little bit better this
Ooh.
time.
Oh, that's not how you roll. That's not how you roll. I sum up with this site today.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
It's been
Mm-hmm.
I'm
course.
not. Hold on. I'm not gonna count this roll. I'm only
Yeah.
rolling with advantage to see if it like. Nope, that doesn't make it
That's
roll
okay.
either. All right,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll it in the thing.
No problem. Do what you gotta do.
So,
He rolled a 22.
1d20 plus 5. Oof.
Ooh.
7.
So in this round, Everine is a little bit more on top of his game, and I think you actually find that he's using conversation to kind of distract you a little bit more. He's trying to get you to talk a little bit more of your adventures, and he gets you. And he kind of winks at, like, us talkers. You know how they can get us that way. All right, final round.
All right. Oof.
oh,
Ooh, sorry, Nereus. Anything you can do for that before I?
I don't know. I've used up my things there, and I mean, I could silvery barbs it, but that seems unnecessary. Darius is here to have a good time,
Yeah.
not a long time.
I think, Nereus, what I'm gonna say, if this is okay with you, is that you kind of let him have this.
Yeah.
You kind of. He's a little younger. He's a little more. He's a little more curious. He's a little less jaded than you. And
Yeah.
I think as you're kind of letting this go, you're like, you know what? I think he's saying he doesn't care, but he kind of cares a little more than you do.
Right.
And so you kind of let it. And I think with the one, I'm gonna say he knows that you kind of let him win, but he smiles and goes. Sportsmanship and competitions aren't quite my thing anyway. Perhaps we can work together on a project.
I look forward to it. I'd love to hear about what you've been doing these last 5 years.
Thank you. Dia shakes your hand and is ready for the next round. Unless there's anything else you wanted to say to him.
No, that's good for me. Nereus will return to the stands contented.
Perfect. All right. Up next is Rohiri versus Irita.
What rules did you say for this?
Basically, if you are proficient in games, you can use that proficiency, but otherwise, I am allowing intelligence or wisdom.
Okay, I was gonna see if you'd let me argue for insight, like what
Oh.
strategy she might use, but wisdom's fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
So just
and-
straight
Yep.
wisdom roll.
Irita. Girl.
Rita
Uh,
is she's lost 2 of these already.
I
She is
know.
off her game
She's
today.
super
That's a
off her game.
17 for me.
All right. Well, Irita's a little too concentrated, and she, man, if this were L5R, she would have.
She'd be unmasking
she'd be
right
unmasking so bad.
now.
Right.
I look over at Lithian and Nereus. Is it just me, or does Irita seem a bit off?
Well, she was concerned about this whole sportsmanship taking part of her responsibilities. Maybe that's put her off her game.
Or maybe she needs to lose some of her responsibilities.
I think if it's like chess, like Rohiri just baits her into the most obvious trap for that
Yeah.
one.
That's fine. She sees this but says nothing as she is trying to regain her composure, and we all do the next round together. Okay, a little better.
All right, 21.
17. She wins that one.
Irita, calm but carefully, tries to. The game is kind of going for a little bit, but she makes a ploy and a ploy that you haven't really seen before, and she reaches through to the end there. Last round.
Uh-oh.
21.
Irita is you can kind of see there's a little bit of excitement off of her as she continues, but she's still finding her own calming breath a little bit here. And once again, it's pretty close.
Could I use my bardic inspiration to give her the negative roll?
Oh.
If
Can
I
you-
called, because I've got the ability.
Cutting word?
Yeah,
Cutting words,
I
yeah.
know what you're talking about, but that's a saving throw, right?
I don't think so. Let me see.
Can you read it to me?
I can. Unsettling words.
Hmm.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. It is a saving throw.
That's what I
thought
thought.
it was saving throw or ability check.
So that's a saving throw, so that's why I'm gonna say no. Also, I would probably say no because I know it's role play, but it probably been best to declare that before she
Yeah,
rolled.
that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like Rohiri just smiles into her face and goes, well, not all of our deities have time to let us play frivolous games.
She grits her teeth as she tilts her head to the side. Well, perhaps, and also not all of our deities are believe such things that use our minds as frivolous. And she gets up and she turns around. What's your passive perception?
Mine,
Yeah,
14.
14. I was gonna say 15. You kind of see that she's walking away proud, but you see a little as she keeps walking away. And that's all the contests. There is no clear winner, as that's not the point of these lyrics. There are obviously independent winners for each of them, which are celebrated, of course. But there is no need for an overall winner because that's not really the point. But actually, what does happen is the people who participated in the most do receive the most praise, which in this case is going to be, I know I didn't have Irita roll for some of the other ones, but I'm going to say that she was part of them still in some way. Rohiri and Irita, and among some other people, actually. Irita and Rohiri, you two are given praise as apostles, but you can tell that in the spirit of this new god, a lot of the applause is given to the poor people that tried their very best but
Yeah.
could not win.
I mean,
And
Followers.
understandably.
Which is what it's
The peasants.
yeah, which is what it's given towards.
What it's all about.
Um,
You, the people at home.
They're the real heroes.
exactly. And I'm looking at the time, and I think I would like to do this. To not quite one. Let me see here. Sorry, just give me 5 seconds.
Mhm.
Would you guys
Well,
like to see your gods today, or would you like to keep that for next time?
are they here?
They're gods.
I mean, that's true.
They can be here whenever they want to be.
Yeah, we might as well see them.
Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit longer, folks, if that's okay with you. All right. Just as you are all settling into the I'm sorry, music change. One sec. Just as you are all settling into the games and festivities, all of you hear a different voice, but one that is intimately familiar with each of you. Lithian, you hear, return to Ter Devra immediately. Rohiri, you hear, Ter Devra, prepare yourself. Saphira, you hear, follow everybody to Ter Devra. Nereus, your voice is clearer than theirs, and more detailed. An urgent matter there is. Take the others to Ter Devra for an enlightening conversation. Oh, and please hurry. Lives are at stake. Nereus, just you. You see in your mind's eye a sudden vision. Inky, black, doesn't even seem part of this world. Shadows, blobs. They're not slugs. You're not really sure, but they're crawling amid this this small arrangement of just crops. And as it reaches a wooden fence, you see it this inky shadow all around and consuming it until it is dark and yet moving. Along with it, there are screams of terror that ring in your ears. But as soon as this vision comes, it disappears. The other... Go ahead.
No, that's all right. I'm Nereus is going to use his telepathy to try to hit as many of the apostles as he can. It goes without 60 feet, but that might not get everyone, but he tries. Say, apostles, I'm calling a conclave. The gods have asked us to... Sorry, which city was it?
Ter Devra.
Yeah. The gods have asked us to Nerdevra. We must go with much haste.
Yes.
Lithian is already like halfway to the door.
Yeah, Lysilia is
Yeah, I
also on
feel
her
like-
way out.
Rohiri too.
I'm sure
So-
that's not concerning for like common folk where all the apostles just stand up at the same time and start like walking out.
Some of you who may be noticing, Nereus, you're probably the main one who would see this. Irida, obviously she has heard you and she has heard her god. And she goes to talk to her bishop representative that is here. And it's going to be his responsibility to help calm the crowd down. And otherwise, you are all meet up and out of this festival, and Irida rushes to all of you. Since I have the ability to teleport to Ter Devra immediately, and I can bring all of you with me, if there's any unfinished business you have, complete it now before we arrive. Is there anything anyone wants to do before you will be teleported conveniently to Ter Devra?
I don't think so.
We're ready to go.
Of course.
All right. And we are going through. And I forgot to put a song down for this, so we are just going to pick one. Perfect. Love it. We're doing it. Okay. As the teleportation magic swirls all around you, you are all transported to the inside of a building. The dark stone floor is etched in a complex circular rune, but all of you are familiar with it. It's a teleportation circle. Pretty much Nereus is probably the only one who knows how to write the damn thing, but all of you have seen these before because each of your tears have such circles of these. You were in a small circular room that is self-contained with just a single door, and around it there are 8 dark gray pillars that are surrounding that large rune on the floor, and so it kind of creates this octagon shape within the circular room. Each of these pillars is holding a small statue on top of it, with the same female figure in various positions, like fighting positions, with a spear, running, writing on paper, etc. You know these to be the figures that represent Devra, goddess of strategy. Irida, Devra's apostle, speaks. Devra holds her conferences here. It should only just be a moment. You're all very familiar with this process. Each of the tears has a room kind of like this, which is a place for the first ring to sort of meet together when need be. The preference is Sul Alcana, but these exist in all the tears. You are aware that this will be a public display with the first ring gods. So for this conversation, anything you say and anything your patron deity says is going to be in public with everybody. You know that Irida probably goes to a totally different room, just as each of you, to speak to your deities. Go ahead.
Public as in the 8 of us, or
8
public
of
as
you.
in the general public can
8
hear
of
this?
you.
Okay.
The 8 of you.
It's not being broadcast out to the city. Okay.
Absolutely not. This
Okay.
is a private meeting for the 8 of you.
Got it.
So as far as like speaking to your gods outside of this privately is going to have to be done through a different sort of thing. Nereus, you have the easiest time doing this sort of thing, but each of you have methods if need be to speak privately. Just as soon as Irida says so, there is a glow around the walls of this circular room. Each section of the wall that's divided by the pillars has their own glow and wisp of smoke whirling around until around all of you are beings. These are not mortals, and in fact, the way they move and interact in this space, you could be forgiven for seeing them as alien beings. Each of their skin is a moving kaleidoscope of colors and shapes, their eyes all glowing like their own personal suns. Their horns are the only stable feature on them, but they're larger, more extravagant than any mortal Alcanan you know. But you all know these beings well, intimately well. These are all deities of the first ring, the ruling deities of Alcana, and each of you are beholden to serve one of them with your life as their apostle. If we could commence with the roll call, please. Helene, present. Lithian, before you is the goddess of seasons, your patron. Her skin changes from forest green to mulberry. Her skin shows shapes of flowers going through their life cycle, seedling, flowering, death. Over and over. Her hair is clouds, changing between seasons and weather patterns, and her horns branch up impossibly high above her head like branches of a tree. Devra, present. Irida stands before her, goddess of strategy. Her skin is bright cyan with pinpricks of warm magenta that shimmer over her body like rain or blood drops. Her horns stand straight up at the highest as anyone can see. Kethik, this is a bloody waste of time. We have people to protect. Rohirri, your god of bastions, is behaving much like he always does. His skin is straight gradient from the deepest red to the lightest orange, a consistent and straight moving fade over his body. No hair, but his horns do go straight up, curve sharply backwards, and then continue up. Somewhat similar to your horns, you could say. After all, you are family. Athala, present. Esterin, present. And it seems not everyone has decided that this was important to attend. Athala and Esterin, goddess of art and the god of education, look like mere twins of one another. Athala has skin of all shades of purple, various colors swirling in assorted patterns. Esterin, meanwhile, has shades of deep brown and flecks of gold like stars that twinkle in and out. Both their horns yet stand tall, yet twisted. Lycilia, present. You're late, Lycilia, Helene says. I came for the roll call, did I not? I'm not late. Saphira, your goddess of pleasure was definitely not there a moment ago. But there she is, the perfect symmetrical face of beauty incarnate. Her skin is a psychedelic gradient of magenta and light blue, exploding into dizzying shapes. Her horns curl out on either side of her head like a halo, and her hair shines like brass as it looks permanently blown by an unknown wind. Ahem, Devra says. Baratos? Oh, here. Baratos, the god of ingenuity, isn't looking up at anyone, but focused on something only he can see. His skin is crackling flames of orange and black, and his horns circle behind his head. Helene's brow furrows. Miro? Miro? Where in bloody Rosalind is Miro? Nereus, this is unfortunately not unusual. Your god of the road always seems busier elsewhere than these kinds of meetings. How is everyone kind of thinking and feeling as their deities are before them?
Lithian immediately shows reverence to all of them, but mostly to his own.
Yep. Saphira kneels gracefully before her
Could
goddess.
I do an insight on how Saphira feels at her goddess's entrance and sort of how the others kind of treat her?
Sure. Go ahead.
I swear, Jesus fuck.
I'm so
Nope.
sorry.
I'm so focused on my goddess that my 2 natural ones for the second time this session.
That's so painful.
Oh.
Those-
Christ.
those
What
were
did
thrown
you
out the
do to
window.
me?
I'll say that no matter what, this is not unusual.
Not unusual.
She is frequently, I mean, they would say late. She would say right on time when she should be there.
All right, is she a wizard?
No, she only arrives when she.
No,
she,
I am, and I showed up before.
she needs to look her best, and yeah, the wizard's god hasn't even shown yet.
I'll
They
I,
have the, yeah.
yeah, right. I'll take a knee before the gods and say simply, "Blessed is the sacred trust that you have allowed us to be part of."
Of course,
Yeah.
Nereus of Miro. Helene says to you, it is not your fault that Miro has chosen to be elsewhere than here.
I represent him all the same, and I shall do as the circle bids.
Rohiri?
I feel like Rohiri, shows appropriate respect, but like it's fairly obvious, like Kethek, she's kind of impatient if there's, lives on the line.
So with that, Helene begins. Well, never mind that. We must get started on the most important part. You have all been called for an emergency situation. Dever keeps going. It is an unprecedented situation, and as such, I have not had time to evaluate the cause or the proper course of action. Kethek continues. We know the proper course of action. Defend from the enemy intruder. Calm yourself, Kethek, Helene continues. We do not know anything about this supposed enemy intruder. Perhaps they could be swayed with a nice cup of tea or one of our bathhouses, Lycilia suggests. Ah, yes. I just love paintings of our people showing open arms to our enemies, Athalic says. Ignore her. Devra, if you could explain the situation. Certainly. Kalsumia is a small farming town that provides 20% of the continent's food, most of it primarily for Ter Lycilia alone. There are reports that the shadow beings are taking over farming equipment, unattended objects, and even some of the plant life. Esterin looks at her confused. Define taking over. These shadows seem to imbue them with life, so to speak. They are attacking civilians. That in of itself is not dangerous technically, but we are dealing with an unknown threat. Kethek growls. My guards have been protecting the people, but they can't kill the shadows. Helene looks. Baratos, do you have any thoughts about what could destroy these shadows? Fire. If that doesn't work. Lightning.
Does he suggest fire and lightning for everything? Is that his solution to every problem? Okay, just checking.
And if that doesn't work, more fire. Just the whole place, more fire. Burn the things. Thank you, Helene. Thank you, Baratos. Lycilia thinks again. Try dancing or music. Perhaps they just need some merriness in their empty lives. Stay in your lane, Lycilia. The adults with useful contributions are talking. Lycilia, you can see this, Saphira. Lycilia just gives this death eye roll to Athala. Certainly not the first one, but she seems really irritated. Helene looks at all of you. Your mission is clear. We will teleport you to Kalsumia, assess the situation, take out the threats, then return to your individual tears to report. Any questions?
As our goddesses and gods command.
I got my mallet. Send us.
I will look over at my goddess.
Yeah.
Presuming these creatures are not interested in parlaying or speaking, am I permitted to assist in the use of force?
Saphira, you know the tenets of my clergy.
But of course.
You may assist the people here that will be doing the dirty work. But I mean it. Perhaps some dancing could help with these shadows. Athala just snickers behind her hand. And she just kind of rolls her eyes. You know how to inspire people, Saphira. Do it.
As you command, my goddess.
Are there any other questions or things people want to do?
Nereus will stand. There are many questions, I believe, my lords and ladies, but I'm sure we will find more answers in the field than we will pontificating on them.
Just so, Esterin says, some of this mission will be a sort of recourse to see what exactly we are dealing with. We are hoping perhaps this is some rogue little magic's trick, but such as it is, this is the point of apostles to do the secret work so that no one else has to get hurt. And with that, all of you will be standing together on this teleportation ring. And once more, those magics will encase you to take you to yet another small village. But we will address that in the next session.
All right.
I